We can call this meeting to order.
Do it loudly so everybody hears.
Gonna call this meeting to order, guys. Sherry Wright, would you lead the invocation?
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for all our blessings. Be with those who are sick. Be with those who have lost loved ones. Protect us. Keep us safe. Thank you for everything, dear Lord. Amen.
Just to reiterate, it's Monday, September 9th, 4:30 p.m., and this is the Highway Commission. Okay. Let's take a roll call. Looks like everybody's here. Okay. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
I got a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same token.
If I may, if we're gonna keep going down this direction, I think we need to move item 7B to the next, before you actually approve the agenda, move the 7B up under 3.
Okay, so, can I have a motion to reconsider?
Motion to reconsider.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, because right now we don't currently have a chairman because of the way that we do this. And so, if it's okay with everybody, just on the advice of the attorney, can we move the chairman vote up here? So okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, it'll be new item 4.
4A.
No,
Thank you.
4, and everything else will move down.
Okay, so it's okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Jamie T. Smith for chair.
Second.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I'm sure I was wanting to make a motion to nominate Mark Harrison for chair.
I'll second that.
Any other motions? For chairman?
Can I speak?
Yes.
Okay. And that's something that I feel like it's not anything personal. I've got a wonderful relationship with you, and you've had 2 years here, and I know your schedule was busy. We talk a lot, and we're going crazy, right? But I just thought it'd be a good time to make a switch. I know Mark has been at my office several times. He's got to know some of the crew people. We've talked about roads, different things, and he's actually come out and looked at some of our equipment. I know he's been very engaged with the process, even when he wasn't on the highway committee. So I think he would be a very good person in this situation.
I would also like to make a stump speech. I know that you've been engaged on a lot of issues with the citizens, especially with the Liberty Creek area and speed limit signs and the roads and things like that. You've always done the research, and I appreciate everything you've done over the last 2 years. I think highway has gone pretty smooth over the last 2 years. Things have made sense coming out of here, and I think they've flowed well through the commission after coming out of here. So that's why I'm recommending you again.
Appreciate you. Well, however this goes, doesn't matter. Just happy to be here, and all that. What's the best way to vote on it, though? How do we differentiate without the button? You know what I mean? Can I ask the attorney?
There's a couple options. One, you can just do a roll call and just check off which way they go, since it's just 2, and see if we meet the have a majority vote one way or the other. If not, we'll figure out what to do from there.
Okay, good deal. So let's just start. You want to start? I'll just start right here with me. I'll just vote for myself.
Start here. I'll vote.
Jamie.
Jamie.
Mark.
Mark.
Okay, so we're at a standstill right here. to change their votes? Okay,
Could we nominate more people?
if you want to.
That was just open floor, so if you guys wanted to.
Does anybody want to nominate somebody else? Try again. Unless somebody wants to change their vote, I don't know.
I'll throw mine in the ring, see if it goes any different.
Okay, we're going to start with you.
We gotta get a second, so.
So you don't, not for nominations?
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Go ahead and start with you.
Yeah, I'll vote for myself.
Who we voting for now?
Mark, Jamie, or me?
Oh, Mark.
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 Tim.
Tim.
And Tim.
Well, that closes nominations, unless anybody, everybody good with that? So, let's, go ahead and close that, and then at this point, would it be appropriate for Tim to come take the spot? And then we change it around?
Well, I can do it from here if we've got the same agenda and all right.
It doesn't matter.
Bring me, slide me the paper.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you take over. Congratulations.
So we'll,
Hey, I want to say one thing real fast again.
yeah, go ahead.
So, Tim has been a real confidant to me, and really, he's been amazing. And I've seen him on the big commission, how helpful he's been. And he took the lead we stood out for 2 hours at least, with some citizens, and it was absolutely amazing on Saturday. My kids actually laughed at my, farmer's tan, and it's a very awkward farmer's tan, but like a part-time farmer's tan. But the thing, I just want to say that how valuable he has been to me, and I know that there's a complete confidence that this highway commission is going to be in really good hands, because he really does care about y'all, and that's a big deal. And so he's been very helpful to me, and just as a personal friend, just you don't know who you're going to make friends with along the way. And I've just seen him stand up time and time again for the city over the commission or anybody who'll stand up he has to. So you guys are in good hands. I'm very confident in him. So. Okay, so now we'll take.
I'll take nominations for vice chair.
I'm going to nominate Tim O'Brien.
We'll nominate Mark.
Any other nominations?
Yeah, no. I'll have it. Any other nominations?
Would you be willing to serve as vice chair, Jamie?
That was gonna be mine, so.
Okay, if it's okay, I want to change mine just to not make it 3 people. If that's okay, no offense to my friend here. But yes, I'd be willing to serve as vice.
Okay.
And I want to withdraw mine.
Okay. All right, so we got
Just
Jamie and Mark. Anybody else? All right, I'm going to close nominations. We'll go around the table, starting with me. I vote for Jamie.
Mark. Mark. Mark.
Mark.
Jamie.
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 Okay, 4-4. We're not moving anywhere. I'll try it again. We'll open the floor for other nominations and see if we can maybe find some middle ground with somebody else. Would anybody like to nominate somebody different?
I am going to nominate Tim, and the reason why I want to nominate him is just because of his extensive road knowledge. I mean, he knows more than I've ever seen on roads. So appreciate that.
Is anybody withdrawn?
I'll withdraw.
Okay, Mark, you staying in, right? Okay. Well, let's start with me again, I guess. Tim?
Mark. Mark. Mark.
Mark?
Tim.
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 Didn't go anywhere either.
Nope.
Any other nominations? All right.
Okay. Can I make one more nomination?
Sure, go ahead.
Deborah.
Don't look at me.
You accept the nomination? Begrudgingly?
She's a good one.
Would you?
Sure.
Okay. So, are we keeping
Can I say a
Tim,
reason?
we're keeping Tim on?
You want to, can I withdraw my nomination for you, just to keep it clean? I want to say one thing too, out of everybody in here, she's been wronged by our county government. So I'm saying, if there's anybody that would understand the citizens' plight more than her, I don't know who it would be. So I mean, I think the world of Deborah too.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna say Deborah.
Mark. Mark.
Smart.
Mark.
Deborah?
Deborah.
Deborah.
Okay. So, any other nominations for vice chair? I don't see this changing anytime soon. Could I get some advice from our legal as to where we go? Do we proceed without advice and try this again another meeting?
You can move this to old business and it doesn't affect legislative, so I don't see a problem with that. Or you can keep spinning the barrel and pulling the trigger.
Well, I mean, nominations don't have to close, but it's almost gone all the way around. But I'll ask one more time if anybody else wants to nominate anybody else or throw their own hat in the ring. If you think you got middle ground to be able to break this.
I'll make a nomination.
Sure.
Terry Wright. I withdraw Deborah.
Okay.
I think he'd be good when he was on it last time too.
Okay. We'll start right here then. I'll go with Terry Wright.
Mark Harrison. Terry Wright.
Mark Harrison.
Right.
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 Okay. Good job. You broke it. Congratulations, Terry. So we got a chair and a vice.
Awesome. Congratulations.
That's for you, not me. Okay. We're gonna move on to approval of the minutes from the last meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
We didn't approve the agenda, Mr. Chairman, but can I?
Oh, yeah.
Can I ask one question before we go past that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to ask that we add one thing that's not, I don't think it's gonna hurt the citizens at all, but I wanted to see, could we maybe just discuss and possibly vote on maybe if there's a suggested change, because it's kind of hard with traffic at this time, whenever it is, I don't care. Maybe we could change the date or the time of this.
Where you wanna add that in towards the, after,
It could be where,
right before adjournment? Is that appropriate?
yeah, any.
What was the question?
Add, discussion about changing the meeting time possibly to another day or time, just to see what works best for everybody. So, okay, without objection, we're gonna add that to, 10C. Meeting time change, discussion. Okay, entertain motion to approve the agenda now.
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Approval of the minutes, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
Jennifer, I'm going to abstain as well.
We got a majority though? Everybody else voted? All right. All right. Public recognition. Mr. Stiller.
Yes, sir.
Is it appropriate to shorten time since the length, or still give everybody 5? You want to do 3? This is going to be quite a lengthy list.
The chairman's discretion.
I'm assuming, yes.
When the first few didn't put their address on there, so when they come up to speak, that they can add their address.
Yes, yes. Okay. application, I'll move over there so that I can get them to sign up. I'm assuming most people here are here probably to speak on the roundabout. And if, I'm gonna put 3 minutes on the time limit. Typically we do 5, but this is quite a long list. Like 20 people, so we got an hour public speaking even at 3 minutes. I'll be a little lenient if you're really pressing on an issue that you gotta finish up. But I think we're gonna hear a lot of the same things over and over again. But we're gonna start off with Charles Kimbrough, Jr. And if you would add your, actually just tell me your name, I'll add your address, I'll add it in 1004 Anderson Road. Yeah.
Should we do this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Highway Commission. I'm not here today to do anything that would be detrimental to my community. I'm here to say just wait a minute. Is what is being proposed the best solution to what we all see as a problem? Over a year ago, we were shown plans for a roundabout in front of our house at the intersection of Drakes Creek Road and Anderson Road. There's a tremendous amount of traffic on these roads, and with the continued construction of homes and already approved subdivisions, the traffic volume will only continue to grow. Obviously, some correction is needed. We just don't believe a roundabout is the solution. We're now being told the city wants to exercise, city of Hendersonville, of course, wants to exercise eminent domain. While encouraging the board of mayor and aldermen to take this action, it is our understanding that a city official told the board that we just wanted a lot of money. That's not the case. We don't want your money. We'd rather just keep our property. We've seen no studies by certified traffic engineers, and we feel strongly, and trust you will agree, nothing conclusive has been presented that would indicate a roundabout will solve the main issue, which is too many cars. That is the issue. There's too many cars. It's not how smooth they go through the intersection, it's how many cars there are. This isn't going to reduce the number of cars. It just isn't. And allowing an 1,800 home development to be built with no other entrances and exits, and no other ones planned other than the one on Long Hollow Pike. And then we got 3,600 extra cars a day going through there. That shouldn't be a surprise. How do we get caught off guard like that? That's ridiculous. It's not a surprise to me. I'm not a traffic man. I'm not a home builder. It's not a surprise. So no, Mr. City Official, we're not interested in getting money for our property. We want what is best for our neighbors and us. We just believe a roundabout will contribute to the traffic fiasco. We and our neighbors have a lot of questions that have not been answered. I think you all can agree that the city has not answered your questions either. As citizens and taxpayers in Sumner County, we're asking you to say to the city, let's make sure we get this right before proceeding. Let's not be hasty in taking citizens' property by condemnation for a project that won't solve the traffic problem. And then there's one last thing I hope you guys will consider. Would you, without question, vote to allow this in your front yard? If you have to stop and think about it, you already got your answer. If the city were proposing a project that was a legitimate solution to the traffic issue, I'd be willing to give up some of my property for that. But this is not the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Please keep applause down just so we can get this faster. Kara Kimbrough.
Okay, first of all, no, I look at the picture.
And even though I got your address,
My
but
name is Cam2. I live at 1004 Anderson Road. That's the corner lot of Anderson Road and Drakes Creek Road. I hope you all read my letter, so I don't have to tell you my tornado story and how that's my dream home that I built in my year or two recovery of being buried in the rubble of my home at that address. I was not in favor of the Durham Farms. I'm reading this because I'm I was not in favor of the Durham Farms high density neighborhood, but I really didn't have a say so because I didn't own that property. I feel the very same way about the city trying to take my land for this roundabout. They don't own my property, and my property is not for sale. City officials have not been truthful with the residents, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, or the county commission. The city originally tried to sell this roundabout project to the landowners as a solution to alleviate traffic. From everything we've read about roundabouts, they are not a solution at all for too many cars on a road. Now the city is saying the roundabout is for safety. That sounds really nice, and who isn't for safety? Except there really isn't a great safety issue. Sarah Locke told you all on August 12th that the major driver for the roundabout is safety. Jesse Eckenroth stated in that meeting that this project is not to increase capacity, but to make it safer. Sarah Locke also said there had only been 3 accidents in 3 years. Due to the configuration of the road, people use extra care, so there are not a lot of accidents. This is not a safety issue and doesn't warrant the very expensive and intrusive project planned by the city, which appears would actually add to the traffic problem. Have you seen the roundabout at Sam's? If not, you should check it out. Nobody knows how to use a roundabout, and they treat it as a 4-way stop. Almost everyone stops. The roundabout at Drake's Creek would just add to the roadway nightmare the city has already created. Traffic would be backed up in all directions with people trying to get on the roundabout. We're not sure who benefits from this roundabout project, but it's certainly not the residents in the area. While discussing safety, we've been told that the Drake's Creek Stop 30 Road project is scheduled for the same time as the roundabout, and Drake's Creek at Stop 30 will be shut down for an undetermined amount of time. How in the world can this really happen? We were told Anderson Road would be shut down for 4 months or so all the Autumn Creek people will be happy to go another way along with us. There will be no direct access for fire ambulance in the event of a medical emergency for the people on Drake's Creek past Stop 30 for an undetermined amount of time. This is a real safety issue and a great reason to kill this roundabout project at this time. It's incredibly poor planning or a complete lack of planning, and we really don't need any more poor planning in this area. The city has not shown this roundabout to be a viable solution at all for the traffic problems in this area. We haven't seen any real traffic studies either. Also, the city has gone to quite a bit of trouble planning a project for an area where they don't own the land. We're asking why. The county residents whose land they are now threatening to condemn are 100% against this project, and we're puzzled as how this roundabout suddenly became such an important project for the city. We're still questioning why the city isn't addressing the real problem. Too many cars on one road. I'm told the city and aldermen are getting complaints about the traffic in this area. Of course they are. There's too much traffic on Drake's Creek Road. The city let the developer build a high-density neighborhood with projected 1,800 homes. They did not plan for enough outlets out of Durham Farm. This is a problem the city created, but a roundabout will not change that. Why aren't they putting a stoplight at Drake's Creek and Shackle Iron Road plus turn lane? That alone would give the Durham Farm residents another outlet to get out of their neighborhood and would decrease the number of cars on Drake's Creek Road. The opening of the outlet at Drake's Creek and Long Hollow has already decreased some of the traffic. We're asking you to protect our rights as property owners in this county and to not go along with the city's roundabout project. There's been a lack of transparency from the beginning, and there are way too many unanswered questions. There is absolutely no need for the city to condemn county residents' property and ruin the investment in our homes while spending taxpayer money on a roundabout that absolutely won't solve the real problems in the area. Too many cars, not enough outlets out of Durham Farms. And the city's threat of losing federal funds for this project if they don't hurry up is invalid. They are using ARPA funds, which I'm told is COVID money and could have been used for any number of projects and still could be. The city, for some reason, just chose to use federal funds for this project, one they aren't really ready to implement. They need to find another use for these funds. If the city is not successful with this roundabout project, then maybe they will spend their time and citizens' money addressing the real issue, traffic, and work on some real solutions. Thank you.
Phil Olea.
I just
want to say, oh, the citizens want this. You know, the biggest percentage of citizens want road, you know, enhancements. Sure, they'll want potholes, but maybe give us a bike lane. Just a simple bike lane. Right now, if you've ever driven Biggs Creek, there's absolutely no shoulder, zero. So one slight turn and you're in an accident, you're close to the, you know, the 5 intersections. And the 99.99997% safety rating of that intersection, it actually dictates for itself. It's a safe intersection. Maybe it's because we all do pay attention to what's going on. But sure, make the bridge wider. You know, I see it finally back here in the back corner. Living at 101, I'm on the corner. I feel sorry for the fire department. Holy crap. If you pull their call log for probably the last 30 days, they don't service right in front of their door. They service right behind them. So you go all the way around now and you're saying, isn't there a better route for that? You know, going out there, another spend mine wisely. So that's pretty much what I had to say. I mean, I'm against it. I just put up a website. Again, I'm a geek, DrakesCreekRoundabout.com. And we're number 2 right now. And I have USA Today and a few others that are going to join me. So I want to see the traffic surveys. I want to see how long people are going to wait in Drakes Creek to pull out, because the cars on Anderson have the roundabout locked up. So, well, thank you guys.
Edward Branham, I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, Edward Branham, 1582 Drakes Creek Road. I'm kind of new to this discussion. There's a lot of history involved with these 3 people coming before me that I haven't heard. But I can speak from 2 points of view. One, as a resident living on Drakes Creek. The amount of traffic and the speed of the traffic, especially the construction vehicles and the school buses, are a huge problem on that road. Accompanying the traffic is, of course, a lot of speeding, a large number of road rage incidents. I'm near the corner of Drakes Creek and Misty, and we see probably weekly near accidents and people hopping out of cars and screaming at each other at that corner weekly. And the other side of this, just in the general events of roundabouts, I've been in Hendersonville about 20 years. I've also lived in Switzerland and in New England, where there are lots of rotaries and roundabouts, and people do learn how to use them properly. And from that experience, I can say once they do learn how to be used properly, the frustration of being stuck, like the gentleman before me said, waiting for the rotary to clear, you know, they also stop there and they wait for stop signs to clear as well. But the amount of frustration that you can reduce in drivers, I think that people actually do these kinds of traffic studies. I believe that the empirical information does exist. That there are documentable reductions in speeding and road rage when traffic is allowed to flow freely and calmly. And you know, obviously, like I said, I'm not here with the history of the 3 people before me, but in terms of being a step in the right direction, I don't know. Is the rotary time now, or is it later, or is it something else for now? I don't know. But they do fit a particular part of the overall traffic management, traffic calming plans within our roadways. I think, certainly the one at Sands is not showing a lot of learning yet with everybody that comes through there, but the one on Drakes Creek Road in front of the farmhouse typically does. That one always flows very smoothly in my experience. I put that vote towards, let's pause and make sure this is the right thing to do, is my input to this group, along with the idea that, yeah, it can
roundabout. Other places I live that have them, there is frustration in learning how to use them. There's no question about that. There's also a lot of frustration in sitting at the stop sign at Drake's Creek Road during rush hour, waiting for people to come out of the new subdivision, because that whole traffic pattern has changed, so that the straightaway for Drake's Creek Road has now become the primary throughway. And if you're coming from any of the three other streets that go into that intersection, it can be very difficult to get out, or dangerous to get out on the road. I think anybody that goes there during rush hour can see the difficulty there. We're in a high growth area, there's no question about that, and I do understand people's frustration with having to be the one to make a sacrifice to make things better. I do sympathize with that. But at the same time, we are a high growth area, and I don't think continuing to make things unsafe and inconvenient are ways to address frustrations that come with being a high growth area. The only thing worse than being a high growth area is being a low growth area, with all that entails. And so I would really encourage solving this problem. Roundabouts do work. I don't like them in particular, but with five roads coming into the same intersections, I don't know of a better solution than that. I think the big benefit is to keep things moving, which roundabouts do even in heavy traffic. Not one street doesn't wait for everyone to clear like you have to now. So I would just encourage that we move forward and not delay the project any further than is necessary, and that we have a solution out there that improves the safety and the convenience of that intersection. Thank you.
Mike McClure.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not speaking about the roundabout. This is the Liberty Creek, Hunter's Lane situation. So.
That's fine. You can get up and talk about that now.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to steal somebody else's time.
No, you're fine. This is the only change you'll get during public
Then I
comment.
guess I better take it.
Order doesn't matter.
All right. My name's Mike McClure. I live at 102 Tioga Trail within the Trail subdivision. My property borders the school system. We're on the elementary side. Our subdivision has about 50 or 60 homes in it, and the only way to get in and out, unless you go over New Hope Road, which you're taking your life in your own hands over there, is to come down there at the curve where Wolfpack and Hunters meet. Now, when they built this, they built a turn lane coming off of Latimer down to, I ride on the walker. When you come off of Latimer down Hunter's Lane, there's a sharp curve there. Well, the school Wolfpack just goes straight on in. They did build you can put 4 cars in a little turn lane, turning left up there. What happens is, during drop off in the morning, which usually runs from 7 to 8, and pick up between 2 and 3, the traffic comes down off of Long Haul Pike to Latimer to Hunters, and it flows into Wolfpack, and they all line up going down the turn lane to turn into the city. Now, when that gets full up to Hunters, they just block the intersection, on up the turn lane, and then on up the hill. So you top the hill there to try to get down to the turn to make into our road to get to the subdivision. You may be 10 cars back, sitting dead still. And you got 2 choices. One, you can sit there for 10 to 15 minutes till they let the traffic flow, or the traffic flows, or you can go down the opposite lane of traffic and take your life in your own hands because there's some teenagers going 60 miles an hour up Wolfpack. And that does happen when they come out of Wolfpack. They are flying going up that hill. So they've been sitting in line down there for an hour. We came in this afternoon at 1:14. Now that's an hour before they start. There were already 6 cars coming from the middle school area, and there were 4 already down there. They won't let them on the property. Best I can tell, they won't let them on the property till 2 o'clock, or just a few minutes before. So traffic just backs up and backs up and turn lane, they never should block the turn lane. If they're gonna block traffic, they need to block the road, because that's what the road's for. The turn lane is not for traffic settings. Now, I know you're not gonna build another lane, which is what should have been done to start with. When Wolfpack was built, there should have been 2 lanes, turn lanes in there. So all these parents, I don't know when people started picking their kids up. My kid used to walk to school and rode the bus, but obviously that has changed. So, I printed off today these little flexible deal-a-matter posts. They're about $45 a piece. There's several copies of them there. If you put those across the end down there of the turn lane, that at least keeps them from backing up the hill in the turn lanes. Guys, that's all I got, but, I mean, it needs to be something done. I mean, if somebody's gonna get killed, coming up through there.
Eileen Jones.
Thank you very much for allowing public comment. I really appreciate it. I live at 301 Hunter's Way. I live directly across from the intersection of the trail. The entrance there, you can get to my house every night and come around.
That's me.
There have been wonderful positive impacts in the school. The property values went up, kids are happy, parents are happy. Unfortunately, the lack of planning and foresight from either urban planning, traffic engineering, or the city in general has left us a little bit wanting in how we're going to continue to maneuver in those. The negative impact that a 3-campus project entails should have been pretty obvious from Big Station Camp and from Beach. Those 2 areas have major arterials that go right in front of them, that allow 2-way left turn lanes, that have pedestrian signals, that have 4-way intersections, that have traffic controls from law enforcement, civilians. The exit out of Hunter's Lane, 0. Absolutely nothing. With an arterial, yes, you can have a 2-way left turn lane. Where we are, there's no possibility for that because none of that was planned. There was a possibility with the 200 and, correct me if I'm wrong, 56 acres that was available for these 3 projects. 65, thank you. To put either gravel or paved parking waiting areas, just like you would cell phone lots from an airport, on either side on Wolfpack Way. Nothing was planned for that. We knew this was coming. You've seen it at Beach. You've seen it at Big Station Camp. Nothing was done for this. I cannot attest to what happens at Upper Station Camp in the high school. I can only tell you what's happening with now the middle school, more kids, and the elementary school. Additionally, the traffic design from Hunters to Wolfpack, as y'all know, Hunters used to make that wonderful dog leg right in because there was a fence. There was a farm there. When I moved there, that's what was there. However, that goes through. Do you have any idea how many people call me and say, I'm delivering your furniture and we have no idea where we are, we're up at Upper Station Camp, because there isn't even a sign that says Wolfpack Way straight, Hunter's Way to the left. 0. I've lost 3 guests and 2 pieces of furniture trying to find things. As far as what Mr. McClaren discussed, the backup, you're right, the backup's a real problem. Almost rear-ended somebody last week. Came over the blind hill, which wonderfully somebody, I'm assuming on your staff, has put up as you're leaving the school a sign that flashes solar that says hidden driveway. That's great going that way. You've done absolutely nothing for the blind drive, but when 2:30 in the afternoon, when it's backed up all the way, you can fly over that hill at 35 miles an hour if you're actually doing the speed limit and not over and not pin somebody. So you can either drive on the wrong side of the road for 0.2 of a mile and hope you don't get nailed, which would be your fault, or you can make a U-turn, go all the way out Latimer, all the way down to New Hope, and all the way back around. Otherwise, it's a 20-minute sit. 20 minutes. There is going to be some frustration. You are going to have lawsuits. It will be the driver's fault, but I can guarantee you the county will be implemented as a causal factor in the traffic accident because you knew about the problem, and the problem's been here now for over 3 years. left turn only? How about in the center that says, do not block intersection? Any of those things are possible. In wrap-up, I'm not just a citizen that just moved here and didn't understand. I'm a 30-year law enforcement veteran with 7 years of traffic investigation and a considerable amount of experience working in code enforcement, traffic engineering, and urban planning. It really needed to have been done better, but there were ways to work with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Denise Hyam?
I just wanted to pass on what I was saying. I do have 2 pictures for traffic.
Well, just come on up and show your pictures and just state your address. That's all we need.
265 Hunter's Lane.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, can I say one thing too?
Yes.
Denise actually is the reason it's on here. And we've kept it on here since I've known about it since August of 2022. But she was very instrumental, and she's provided some great information, and she's been very championing it to have something done. I just want to make sure if she's forfeiting to talk, I just want to make sure that I said that in her stead. She's been awesome.
Debbie is the one person that has helped me a whole lot with the elementary school. Okay, and I did have other pictures. Sorry, I did not get those brought. They got in a different pile.
Here's the drawing, Denise, if you want the drawing.
Oh, I have it here.
Sorry.
Yeah, just quick comments and then I'll pass the
Okay.
around.
So, just like Eileen said, if you're going down Hunter's Lane, you never know once you pass over that hill whether you're going to hit somebody or not. I too have almost hit 2 people coming over that hill, and I'm adamant about doing the speed limit. It would be very easy to fix and very inexpensive to write school with an arrow going straight, and then when you get past over to Wolfpack Lane, to put another arrow to the turn lane. And then where, right now, there's an arrow in the Hunter's Lane turn lane, just write the word only on the back of it. I have called the schools, I have called the police department, and I have called the community. And Jamie is the only person that has been able to help me do anything. Everybody else has said, not my problem, can't do that thing. That's very frustrating when the school administration cannot even get somebody out there to help direct traffic. And it wouldn't be for the whole year. They got somebody out there at the beginning of the school year to direct traffic. That would help out, because people will learn how to do it the right way, and then they will be in habit. But the school is unwilling to do anything. And I've called multiple times. Like Eileen said, now everybody thinks Hunter's Lane goes straight, and it is very confusing. I got out of my car one day after there were 5 cars in front of me in the turn lane. I got out and went and tapped on everybody's window and busted a few people for being in the wrong lane. I was a little bit irritated. One of them was a police officer in his personal car. And him too. But he told me, he said, you know, you can go around on the other side, the straight lane. And I said, yes, but when I cut over, if an accident happens, it's going to be my fault. And why should it be my fault when they're all in the wrong lane? So, first year I gave everybody a pass. It's a new school. The second year, this should have been fixed. We are now into the 3rd year. The Hunter's Lane side, the elementary school side, was not even supposed to be an open entrance. It was an emergency entrance, supposed to have a gate there. That's what they said to us before the school was ever built. Now, the high school is encouraging everybody to use the Hunter's Lane side. So now we've got extra traffic coming from the high school, middle school, and elementary school. And now they're backing up Hunter's Lane, they're backing up Latimer Lane, and if you have ever been on the corner of Longhollow Pike and Latimer Lane, that's not an easy turn to begin with. It's kind of a funky road to begin with. And now you've got all of that traffic coming out of that little funky road. I would love to see a light, even if it only works during school hours, a stoplight that, you know, red light, green light, that only works during school hours. I would love that. For safety reasons, it would sure help us get out that now they're giving us a whole lot more traffic than we've ever had before. Yes, we can go out the other side on New Hope, but New Hope is not any better. If you're needing to turn left on New Hope, you're taking your life in your own hands. So for us, there is not a safe and easy way to get in and out of there. And I do have pictures, and I can send them to you.
Yeah.
This is,
I won't be able to pass your phone around, and for wanting everybody to see them, do you have these pictures?
I don't know which ones.
no, I redrew it to make it a little bit easier.
You want to
because
text it to me and I'll
I should text them to him, and he can either share, or we can put them on a piece of paper and have them available through email.
Thank
Is
you.
that okay? All right, thank you. Thank you. Ryan Bradford.
So I am here to speak in favor of the roundabout.
State your name and
Brian
address.
Yes, 206 South Molina Drive. So I'm in favor of the roundabout at Drake Street. I know that I've spoken with the mayor previously, about 3 years ago, about putting this in, and it was actually on the books to put this in when Durham Parks was created and initially approved of. So one of the big things, the big frustrating things I see is the amount of traffic that comes speeding through that. The big thing of a roundabout is it's a traffic control, speed control device. And so having that traffic roundabout there will make it a lot safer for drivers coming through there. The other thing is this is not like the Sam's Club roundabout. It actually is a 2-lane roundabout, which will make traffic flow a lot easier around there. I know it's frustrating when people are learning that roundabout, but there is 2 lanes in this, so it will make it go and flow faster through that. The other thing is that there is 3 intersections that have stop signs, and actually nobody in this area really understands how to work that free stop lane at that intersection. It's treated as everybody is hitting that stop sign, and it's treated just like a 4-way stop, but nobody knows how to use it. So you have people turning at all random times. Somebody's going to get in there at doing that. The other thing is that you have another 700 or 800 homes on the books that are supposed to be built down to Anderson. So you're going to have a lot more traffic coming through there on Anderson. And I, quite frankly, have seen buses, I've seen dump trucks, I've seen semi-trucks trying to take that turn there. It's super dangerous. Somebody's going to end up in a ditch, something's going to fall over, we're going to have a spill right there in their yards that they're so worried about. And I, for one, do not want to see something happen in our neighborhoods that would cause for a major catastrophic issue. And so the other thing is that when those cars do get backed up, school buses do have a very difficult time making that turn right now, as is, going on to Anderson, which causes even more problems down the road. And so the other thing is that the only other solution for more traffic volume is to make it a 2-lane, or to add lanes to the road. So it's going to make that road wider. So what do you want? Do you want a wider road, or do you want to put in a traffic control device that's going to not take as much property away? I choose roundabout. Thanks.
Thank you. Joni Prince or Johnny Prince?
Jerry.
Sorry for that, Joni.
That's okay. I am Jeremy Prince. I live at 110 Sophie Court in the Fountainbrook neighborhood. It is. My address is on there. With all the development, First Elementary, where my kids attend, now has approximately 785 students. And trying to get them to school on time at that intersection is very extremely challenging. Many of the students come from Durham Farms on the creek. I'd be going from the farm to the creek and my neighborhood, Fountain Brook. And when I moved in, there was only 2 neighborhoods in 2009. So I've seen the growth, obviously. School traffic this morning was 16 cars deep on Anderson Road trying to pull out at 8:10. School starts at 8:30. I dropped my child off at 8:26. Most people, if the line's too long, will turn around. I'm sure the Kimbrough and the other guy have had people turn around in their driveway and try to get back to take Herschel Jones and around, and that just makes it worse because now there's an extra road playing chicken trying to get out on the main road. With the addition of the Durham Farms now opening back to Long Hollow Pike, when there is any kind of block or wreck on Long Hollow Pike, they try to take Durham Farms to come in, and there have been at least five times since that road has opened, or even when they come in off of New Shackle, the Drakes Creek will be backed up from Vietnam veterans all the way into Durham Farms. And if you think anybody's going to stop and let us in, you're crazy, because they don't. And we have to turn around and take Jones Lane all the way to Stop 30 and come in the opposite way, which is miles and miles longer just to get our kids to school. And it's never on time, and I'm always going all over the clouds. Hey, I'm so sorry, but there's traffic up here, and you're going to have to let these kids being not tardy, because we can't get there. And, let's see. Went off script. Yes, we do. We have a lot of development. A lot of development that most of us probably didn't want. I know I didn't, but it's here. There's way too many cars. But like you guys said, there was no plan for it, you know. And this is a plan, and it's here and it's proposed now. And I had spoken with the mayor, who had told me that there are sidewalks, there are crossing places, there are guardrails that's going around it, and I did not know it was going to be 2 lanes, but that's even better because more people will be able to flow around. And I understand everybody saying the one about Sam's Club. I love the one at Sam's Club. Yes, I might toot my horn a little bit to get somebody to go, but I prefer the roundabout there than what was there before, because it was awful to try to turn into the gas station. So, there you go.
Thank you. I don't know if it's appropriate here to do, but I don't want to keep repeating inaccurate information for public record. It's only a 1-lane roundabout according to the plan, so just so everybody knows. Paul Town.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Paul Town, and I live at 208 Catalina Way in Hendersonville, which, I'm sorry, all you old-time residents, yes, is a part of Durham Farms. I've only lived here since 2017, but I do have to say this is one of the worst intersections that I've seen in Hendersonville in the short time we've been here. I was one of the early residents here in Durham Farms, first 30 or 40 houses, and we love living there, but I am here to speak in favor of the roundabout being constructed at the intersection of Anderson Countryside, Vermont, and Drakes Creek. I've long advocated for improvements to this road with the developer, with the city, and with many other individuals and neighbors. If you haven't traveled here recently, it's a mess, especially in the morning and the evening when schools are in and out. But at the end of the day, there is now over 9,000 vehicles that pass through that intersection every day. The way it's currently designed, it is almost physically impossible to turn right or go south off of the line without crossing into the northbound lane on Drakes Creek Road and make that corner. It is also impossible for any size of a vehicle to turn right onto either Anderson or Countryside without going into the other lane. The way in which it's been designed, it's narrow. Yes, it was designed wrong, or something should have been done going to increase now that the light is open down at Long Hollow, and Rex Creek Road goes all the way through. As continued traffic takes that path to get down to Long Hollow, whether it's because of traffic backed up at some other place, or as a result of the now new way to get through. And there are 100 homes left to be built in Durham Farms, as well as more in and off of Anderson Lane and Jones Lane and the other areas around there, so the traffic is only going to increase. Speed is already dangerous. It's above posted speed almost always. If you stand out there and watch, we're close to that intersection where we live, and the speed has done nothing but get worse. I moved here from Minneapolis in 2017, and I have a lot of experience in Minneapolis with roundabouts. We use them all the time, all over the place, and they really do both slow down traffic, reduce accidents, and improve traffic flow. Traffic from Anderson and Beth have an awful difficult time to get onto Drakes Creek going southbound because of all the through traffic going the other way. I'm not a traffic engineer. I don't know whether a roundabout is the perfect solution, but it is a solution that I know, based on personal experience, slows down traffic and improves traffic flow. It'll improve the safety of the intersection. It has crosswalks for pedestrian safety, and it has guardrails to reduce rollover risk. Somebody earlier stated there hasn't been any accidents. I've only been here since 2017, and I've personally witnessed 4 at that intersection. 2 rollovers into the creek, and 2 semis trying to make a turn on Anderson Road and going down in the ditch and getting stuck and blocking traffic for hours. It will greatly improve the ability of residents in Autumn Creek countryside, Anderson Road, and Durham Farms in exercising their way through that intersection. I urge your support of this project from a public safety standpoint, and to take advantage of the funding that's available now if we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, go.
Is it okay if I stand here?
Come up here just for the public record. The camera's kind of focuses to you, and it's for people that aren't here.
Understood.
Just state your name and
Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Tom Golden. Live in 1019 Whispering Wind Way in Hendersonville. That's in the Durham Farms neighborhood. Durham Farms, Autumn Creek neighborhood, excuse me. I lived here in Hendersonville since 2008, and can echo what we all seem to agree on, which is traffic is a problem, and we want our city to do something about it. Now, we can all disagree on exactly how to do that, but I'm here to suggest 3 things to you on your vote. And I urge you to vote in favor of this solution for our roundabout, especially if you believe that our cities and our county should be fiscally responsible. Because this project is paid for by federal money. You can say, well, it should be used for this other thing. Well, they're addressing a real problem that a lot of residents care about. There is a lot of traffic here. 9,000 cars and vehicles go through this. I am one of them every day, multiple times. And I'm trying to teach 2 15-year-olds how to navigate this. I have twin boys. How to navigate this. Oh, yes. It is that challenging. This is not a safe intersection by any objective measure. There is, depending on where you look along Drakes Creek, there is a 3 to, in one case, a 5-foot drop-off right there next to that creek. That's where rollovers happen. There are cars that come flying out in multiple different directions. It is a challenging intersection. This is an opportunity to address that. Are there many other things that need to be done? Of course. Do we all have our own things that we would like to see happen? Absolutely. But I don't think anybody disagrees that this is not a step in the right direction. Safety is a major concern, and I was very pleased to see all the different safety measures that have taken place. I'm very sympathetic to land being taken. I do not want my land to be taken. I don't know what that's like, and I can understand that. This is an issue, though, that affects all of us, and want us to encourage us to look at not just what is today. It's already a problem today. There's more developments that have already broken ground. Along Avant Lane that goes off of there, if you circle around about 3/4 of a mile, is our rugby park. I serve as a
all over the Mid-South area. So that word is getting out. More people are coming to this area, and this intersection is a bottleneck. Make no mistake. This is an opportunity for the county to assist the city in addressing this real problem by agreeing to let Countryside connect, which, as I understand it, is the main issue that you're trying to decide, whether to allow for that county road to connect to this project. I urge you to say yes and not stand in the way and make a mistake. A delay is killing that project because we have only a certain amount of time to use those funds. If we have to come back, we're going to have to use funds that I don't think any of us want. We don't want our taxes to go up for that. So I encourage you to vote for it. I encourage you to do the right thing and be responsible. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Gallagher? Sorry. I'll say the last name.
Gallagher. Yep. That's very good. I'm Laura Gallagher. I live at 1022 Crimson Way in Autumn Creek, and I can reiterate everything, or I will say thank you for saying everything. My couple things are, I have two 18-year-old twins and a 21-year-old that still cannot work through that finally intersection. The biggest thing I think for me, I'm getting it. I come from Elton, Wisconsin, where we have many roundabouts everywhere. 2 lanes, 3 lanes. It's a slow process to learn it, but once you get it, oh my gosh, no more races, roads, all that. So again, when we're coming out of Anderson Road, the speed at those that are coming down Drake Creek Road is super fast. And a lot of times the young drivers, you know, I tell my kids, wait, because sometimes there's going to be someone turning into country road. And they think they're always going to be turning onto our road. And so they go. And it could be sometimes someone's coming into that one. So again, super dangerous, roundabout, work. I've lived here 10 years, and I'm like, we could put a roundabout at every 4-way stop. It would be so much faster. We wouldn't have all that. So, again, I think the money is there, like Tom said, and it'd be really stressful if we lost it and we can't work through a solution. If it means that we need to use the center fund somewhere different to help with that, yeah, maybe we get you a little more information on that. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Keely Aiken? Or Aiken?
So, it doesn't matter.
Your name matters.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that, yeah. Keely Aiken, I live at 1031 Smoke Rice Lane, Hendersonville, Tennessee, so that is the subdivision of Autumn Creek. So I moved to Tennessee, Autumn Creek, about 14 years ago. Moved away from Autumn Creek about 10 years ago to go live on the lake. Then since got divorced and moved back to Autumn Creek because of how much I love that community. And I should have started off by saying, I'm likely not going to leave many in this room feeling super warm and fuzzy about your interaction with me, but I don't think that you guys volunteer your time and are dedicated to our county because you need us helping you feel warm and fuzzy. So, you'd also be surprised I've gotten divorced after you guys get a feel for my warm and fuzzy. But that's not my job, right? And that's not my purpose of coming here to see me. What I do care about the safety of my family. I do care about the safety of my friend's family. I do care about the safety of my neighbor's family and the neighbor's family. And I do want to say, we have failure points in every direction I go coming out of Autumn Creek. When I come out and I'm on Anderson Lane and I'm taking a left to go take my son to middle school, I go through a failure. When I drop my son off and I go back the other way to then take my daughter to school, I go back through that same failure. Then I get to the intersection of Old Drake Creek Point Road, maybe I think it is, I don't know. I turn left at the creek. I don't always pay attention to the street names, but Old Drake Creek and New Chapel Road. I'm assuming all of you that are going to be making a decision on our safety, you know the path I'm talking about, because I would make the fair assumption that you wouldn't be making a decision on our safety had you not knowing exactly what I'm talking about here. So, failure point, when I'm trying to take a right onto New Shackle, or heaven forbid, I'm trying to take a left. Now I'm getting to the intersection at Lone Hollow Pike in New Shackle. Thank goodness we finally have a stoplight there, although I have to see 2 crosses. Every morning and every afternoon I see 2 crosses. So, did we wait till the second cross got put up before we put the stoplight? I don't know. But it was definitely after the first cross went up. Failure points all the way back. Now, I don't know who at this table and who at this room was a participant in these failures, and if you were, do better. And if you weren't, you better do better than the ones before you. And this might be an exaggeration when we're talking about specifically this 5-road intersection. It was said earlier, we've learned to drive better because of it. Yeah, I have. I'm 42 years old. I've been driving since I was 16. That's 26 years old. I'll let you do the math. I'll do the math easily for you. My 16-year-old daughter just turned 16 on August 31st. How many years of driving experience does she have? Math is easy. Less than 1 year. Exaggeration, perhaps, possibly, I don't know. You willing to take the risk? Have a cross get put up at that intersection? I'm not. And it's pretty easy to me. A post made on Facebook, the Sumner County Highway Facebook page, made a post on February 26th of 2023. When you know your why, your what has impact because you're walking in or toward your purpose. If this is not logical and common sense from the decision that you need to make, then my kind suggestion is going to be remove that post.
Thank you. Matt Gilday.
Matt Gilday, I live at 215 South Molina Drive in Hendersonville. I had a bunch of notes that I was going to mention here, but as I listened, all of my points have been made. It's not safe. It's not something that can persist. It should have been taken care of when those developments were approved and put in place. At that point, there should have been a solve for this. It didn't happen, so now we can just solve it now. The only point I'll make is for those 5 intersections into that one circle there, or that one intersection that's there today, there is really no other solution. The stop signs that are currently there aren't working. Putting stop lights there, I don't think is feasible in the way that the roads are all set up. I don't know how you would do that and make it better than it is today. The only answer really is to put a circle there, a roundabout, and really waiting is not an option either. The funding is available, the timing is right, and it's going to have to happen at some point in time. We already delayed it once, apparently, since it was something on the docket when it's put in Durham Farms, and we didn't do that. So delaying doesn't make sense anymore. Please agree with the roundabout.
Thank you. Mark Evans.
Hi, good afternoon. My name's Mark Evans. I live at 1567 Briggs Creek Road in Durham Farms. Thank you for allowing us to speak. I've lived in Hendersonville for 31 years, and I've lived in Durham Farms for 6 years. A lot of what's been said is what I was going to say as well, but I walk Grace Creek every day, probably 2 or 3 times a day with my dog, and just walk in the neighborhood. But a lot of times I go down to the entrance of Durham Farms, and I'll try to cross over. And I know that because not gonna come out when there's traffic going nonstop on Greg's Creek. You can spend as much time trying to learn how to do that as you can, but, it's still dangerous. And there's more, yes, there's traffic, there's homes and everything, but once they opened up the light at Long Hollow, there's more traffic coming through there. It's not people in Durham Farms, it's people who are trying to find an easy way to get over the in that area. And we expected that. We knew that was going to happen when we built there. I don't really, I know this is kind of weird, but I don't mind the traffic. I just wish it would slow down. The roundabout is going to be a way to slow that down. I've been in cities. I've been in Madison, Wisconsin. I've been in Indianapolis. I've been in Minneapolis. I've seen roundabouts work. And there's a couple of things, like even within Durham Farms, the roundabout that's already there at the farmhouse, it works well. People know how to use that. And probably the most historic roundabout that I know about, I grew up in Franklin, Tennessee. And if you go to downtown Franklin at the square, the public square, that is a roundabout there. And it's been there since the 60s and the 50s. And it works fine, always has. So I'd like to see that the committee approve this. We've got to move forward on this. We cannot delay. If we delay, I'm afraid that we'll have an accident. Someone will end up perishing there, and I don't want to see that happen. I'd like to see this approved now.
Thank you. Gary Vandermolen? Vandermolen, yep.
Thanks. I'm Gary Vandermolen, 1012 Raspberry Valley Court, Autumn Creek, representing the Autumn Creek HOA, but also with a background in accident reconstruction. I'm convinced that the roundabout will help with traffic control and safety, and also the flow through of the traffic, especially from Anderson Lane onto Drakes Creek Road. And I'll try to make up for people that went more than 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. Paul Vandenkamp?
Yeah, my name is Paul Vandenkamp. I'm a resident at 211 Catalina Way. We've lived there for about 4.5 years. And as everybody has said, with the opening of the Long Hollow extension through Drakes Creek, the traffic has just increased exponentially. And it's not just us, 1,200 homes in the neighborhood, it's everybody passing through the neighborhood. And they're passing through the neighborhood in order to get somewhere faster than they could another way. So the speed is increasing. That's the biggest concern that I have. I walk, I run, I exercise out this morning at 6:30 a.m. Couldn't get across the south entrance at Drakes Creek on the south entrance of the neighborhood. So it's constantly increasing. It's going to only continue to increase in volume. So we're very much in favor of this opportunity, and we're looking forward to that soon. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And last we got Eddie Robertson. Eddie Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and I want to thank everyone that's come out today to support this project. My name is Eddie Robertson, and I live at 1049 Smoke Rise Lane in Autumn Creek. I'm the alderman for this area. I'm also chairman of the Capital Projects Committee, so I'm acutely aware of this project. But more than anything, I'm a resident. Many times I've been in traffic on Anderson trying to turn left, as many of you have, on Drakes Creek, and my wife looks over at me and she says, "Can't you do anything about this?" You know, and that hits home. You know, can't you do anything about this? Just a few, because it's, I can't amplify much of what's been said, but let me tell you, the number one complaint that I get as an alderman is traffic congestion, and that it takes too long to get to parts of Hendersonville. In fact, I've heard this complaint from even members of this commission sitting here today. Well, we are acting to address a bad situation. You see, this is a situation, this is a problem that we've inherited. I wasn't on the board, I wasn't on Oklahoma when Durham Farms was approved. So we've inherited this problem, but we got to fix it. You know, taking no action is no solution. You know, this has been stated that it's the worst intersection in the city. Traffic congests from 5 different directions, coming from 4 different roads. This is a problem crying for a solution. Now, there were other alternatives considered, so don't believe that we haven't discussed many alternatives. At the Capital Projects Committee and at the Public Works Committee that I'm vice chairman of, we've addressed all of these considerations. This is the most economical, and this is the best solution for this problem. Again, no county funds are being requested for this project. It's being funded by the Durham Farms voluntary impact fees and also by ARPA funds. Now let me say, someone has said, well, use these funds somewhere else. Well, the federal government, you know, when they give you money, they got strings attached to it. And they tell you, you know, where you can use this project. And we've looked of projects all over the city. This is the best application, and the federal government has approved the spending of money for this project. This improvement will be built because of the growing traffic area, the delay and a delay in this will only increase the cost for city residents. And in closing, in 1943, a U.S. Army colonel by the name of Crenshaw sat outside the governor's office, Governor Prentice Cooper's office in Nashville. And he was there because there were a lot of complaints coming from Anderson County about the government's proposal to build a government project in Anderson County. And the governor, Governor Cooper, was sympathetic to those. But after talking to Colonel Crenshaw of the U.S. Army, which was commanded by the War Department to go to discuss with Colonel Cooper, Governor Cooper, the Manhattan Project. And as a result of the discussions of theirs, Governor Cooper changed his mind and supported this project because it led to the end of World War II. Now, I'm not trying to say that these are similar projects, but the concept is the same. Is that I don't want the thousands of people that fight with this intersection every day to say the county killed this project. Don't let them be able to say that. Be a part of the solution. Don't kick this can down the road. Let's fix it. Thank you. All right, that closes the public comment.
Okay, report of the chair. I'm going to defer to the former chair. Do you have a report?
No report, Mr. Chairman.
This is not my agenda, so bear with me. Old business. This is all having gone. What do we normally do there, Jamie?
So normally, just if there's anything that, like, we've kept Wolfpack Way on old business.
Right, but now it's on.
Yeah.
Okay, so jump down there.
Yes, sir, and then I would just jump past the B to the number 8.
Well, report of superintendent would be next, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Ellis?
All right, well, number 1 is the city Hendersonville roadway project, and the city, is going to come up and make some comments.
Just defer to them for the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Make a motion to suspend the rules so they can speak.
Second. So wait a second. I just a point of confusion on that. What rules do we want to suspend? Because if we I know that's silly, but I actually went to a training this weekend, and if we suspend the rules, we're suspending all of them. And I know that seems so silly to say that, but I think I've made that mistake a million times, and I thought I'm trying to see like what rules do we want to suspend. all of them, or just?
We're suspending the rule to allow them to speak.
Oh, I understand. I know I was at the county commissioner training, and I just want to make sure that I'm clear on that, because it said never
I'd
mind
like to
that.
restate it like this.
Yes.
Mayor, they're suspending the rules to allow them for a presentation during the superintendent's report, and confine it to that only. So, okay. Anyway, I'll second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Come on.
Congratulations, Chair. Congratulations, Vice Chair. We'll try to make this as succinct as possible. We kind of have an overview for what we'd like to do. We want to have complete integrity with what we're saying and what we're doing, so at any point if you have questions, please don't hesitate to stop and ask for clarification. So Ms. Sarah Locke and Cody Cruz are going to start and kind of give a project overview.
And I think that's the best format, guys. We'll just raise our hand and stop and ask your question at that point.
So we'll do a project overview first. We're going to give a public safety perspective second. We just have some handouts if you have questions about public safety at that time. We can answer that. I want to talk a little bit about the process of acquisition. Casey Lamar is our public information officer. We recently have done a transportation survey, so she's going to share some of the results of that. And then I'll just wrap up with project costs and why the timeliness of this is important. So with that, I'll introduce Sarah, Public Works Director, and Cody to give a project overview.
And my, I'm speaking to you, be pretty short. Most of you heard quite a bit from me last time that we were here. So Cody will be providing a lot of project information. Some of it will be new, kind of going over the process to come up with a design, some alternatives that we consider, some handouts for that. He'll discuss the process that we went through with the property owner coordination, and then also some project schedule and some other things. I brought the same handouts that we brought last time for those of you that are new. And
Does anybody need one?
Anyone would
You
like.
still have your old maps from last month?
I have mine, but it's in my car.
If you need one, raise your hand.
I know it well.
You'll have a little one, and then this is the other one, the color-coded one as well. So that would help to show the project limit, the portion that's in the county. Of course, we're here today to discuss the portion of the project that impacts Countryside, which is the county road, and of course, includes the county residents. We are requesting approval for the project so that we can move forward with this Countryside right-of-way. A lot of people who spoke today made this part simple for the introduction. I think everyone's familiar with the location I'm talking about. The 5-way Lakeside intersection in Vermont, and Great Creek Road. We did develop this as a safety project as well as improving circulation through the area. So for that, I'll pass it over to Cody, who's done a lot of the design on this project and be able to share a lot of those.
Good afternoon, Cody Cruz with Russian Smith. I'm the project manager on this project. I am going to pass out some exhibits, more exhibits, but these are the alternates, some exhibits highlighting some alternates that were considered for the intersection. And so we've heard from everybody about the existing and complicated 5-road intersection, some of the safety concerns associated with it. What I've provided is an exhibit. So 3 different alternates were considered at this location. One of the exhibits, the first exhibit is going to be a roundabout. That's what we've been here talking about today. The other 2 are more traditional stop-controlled intersections, so that could be with a stop sign or a signalized intersection. With 5 roads coming together at one spot, today it's complicated. And so one of the first steps and the goals for all of the alternates that we looked at was to simplify the intersection. That's one of the greatest things that a roundabout can do, is it can simplify the geometry associated with 5 roads coming together. The alternate 2 and alternate 3 were the stop control intersections, and for those, it's really important to combine Countryside and Anderson to bring those to a single point to have a more traditional 4-road intersection. In the exhibits, a couple of things just to note with the stop control
one of the benefits that hasn't been discussed is the 24/7 operations of a roundabout. And what that means is during non-peak times, you do not have a traffic signal to stop traffic on Drake's Creek, maybe for one car coming out whenever you have continuous flow off of Anderson Road. Two different options that you're looking at. The second option creates a traditional intersection. If you imagine Anderson Road tying into Countryside, it would bring it straight in line with Avant Road. With that, there's a significant intersection that's right over a creek with a significant box culvert. Very similar to the intersection that we have today, but environmentally and cost as well, those are significant concerns. And with both of the options, because of likely a signal being required, widening is going to be required. So the property impacts that we're talking about today that are associated with a roundabout would be extremely similar for both of these situations, because alternate 3, or alternate 2, whenever they come together, Anderson Road becomes a cul-de-sac. That cul-de-sac impacts the Kimbrough's property. So in regards to cost, safety, traffic operations, this is the desktop review associated with what is the best improvement for this intersection. The roundabout is by far, hands down, the best traffic solution that was considered at the time. Can I ask a question? Yes, sir. So option number 3, without the cul-de-sac in Mr. Kimbrough's property, that actually doesn't impact Mr. Olea across the street at all. If anything, it gives him more property. But why does that road have to be shifted towards Mr. Kimbrough's property instead of shifted towards Mr. Olea's? To me, that looks like it wouldn't impact either person that's the most concerned here today. Yes, sir. That's a really good question. So I'm sorry that I don't have 30 exhibits to hand out. If you can imagine Anderson Road tying in, and then Countryside swings into Anderson just to the east. So what we're looking at here, that would reduce the impacts on the Olea property, which is northeast of the intersection. The widening does have to take place to the south because there's a creek that runs right next to the road. And so to reduce the impacts to the creek, it would be widened to the south. The biggest concern on this that does need to be highlighted is if you imagine the signal on Drake's Creek Road, what we would be doing is having an offset intersection, and that would be very similar to like Gallatin Road, Walton Ferry, Old Shackle today, where you have a very nasty offset intersection. And so the offset intersection was undesirable in alternate 3. So to the point you made about the creek being nearby, I'll come to the next. You're going to be all in that creek, all through that creek, doing this roundabout, disrupting the creek and putting a culvert in to change everything underneath of there. So I don't see that as a valid point with the reasoning for coming off the creek to stay out of the creek to do that solution. I wish you'd expound upon that a little bit more, because I don't really understand why that's an issue to stay off the creek when you're going to be all in the creek with this roundabout. And if you could speak a little more about that. We can't move the creek. That we wouldn't be able to get the job permitted through the Corps or TDEC. And so if we did widen to that side, the length of the improvements would have to be underneath the box culvert, and that gets back into the environmental and overall cost concerns associated with that alternate. Are you not getting into the creek doing this roundabout? Yes, sir, we are. And so with this project, everybody's going to love these details. We have a slab culvert. That means that the culvert that we have are vertical slabs with footers, and so there's no bottom to it. And so for the permitting agencies, that stream bottom remains as is. And so that's just one step to stream mitigation. base your length of improvements for the alternate three.
But to be clear, the widening of that road into Mr. Kimbrough's property that's to the south is a straight line cutting off some of the front edge of his property along Anderson Road, as opposed to the third option, which is putting a large cul-de-sac right in the middle of his front yard. So it's taking a lot less. I'm just trying to consider all things. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I was going to say, thank you so much for sharing. I've got several more things, but just on this point, I think that just, for those who haven't gone out and seen it, that makes total sense if it's a creek. It's not a creek any longer. It used to be. It's an arroyo now because it's completely dry until it rains because of Autumn Creek being put in. It's interesting that it's named after a creek, but it took away the creek. I just think the thing that really is needed to be said is it's not a creek any longer. There is no aquatic life living in there except for just rushing wide open water. And one of those culverts is pointed straight toward Mr. Alea's front door. So it just reminds me of another poor individual in my district, Mr. Jones, who has it blowing out like just a complete water, like a fire hydrant right in front of his property. And so that's the thing that I know is a glaring, obvious thing. If anyone walked out here and saw it, no one would call it a creek, and I know you wouldn't either. So I just want to clarify that for the folks here that are going to be voting.
I'm with you 100%, but we went through the ringer with the Corps of Engineers, TDET, and TWRA. So they have authority over this, and because we're so close to Drake's Creek, this is an exception. We're having to treat this as the exceptional waters of the United States. So I used to be understood. We have to treat it that way.
Can I ask, have you made that argument and said, look, it's not exceptional waters, it's only rainwater, storm water, a storm drain, an arroyo, and not a creek any longer because of the subsidence?
We have worked really hard on behalf of the city to try to get out of that.
For TDEX and the core purposes, you are saying that it is, for their purposes, to get the approval, it is still considered a creek.
A stream, yes, sir.
Okay.
That's correct.
My next question is, we've heard comment about whether or not it's a one or a two lane, which is it?
One lane.
It is one lane.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. All right. You've answered my question about what other options were considered. For the public record, how close will this roundabout get to the Kimbrough's property?
I've got some offsets for you. What part of the property? That was the front of the house?
The front of the house.
Okay.
And I want included the construction easement.
Okay. From the front of the house, we'll start with I know one of the biggest concerns is the equipment area. So that would be 10 foot away from the disturbance limits, like the slope limits of the property.
Is that 10 feet from the front porch? Is that 10 feet?
I'm sorry. That is a 10-foot working area from the disturbance limits of the project. So that's going to be the closest impact to their property. The average for that is 63 feet. 63 feet away from the front of the house.
So how are your stakes working?
I'm leading into another question.
Yes, sir.
Utility lines for White House Utility, could those potentially be closer? And could that be where those flags are?
Yes. So,
which would not take nearly as long to disturb them as the sun.
So we have, one of the things that I did want to touch on is the property owner involvement. And so we have gone through a lot of property owner coordination on this project. So once we got the 60% design on this project, we had a meeting with the property owners, received the input from every single owner. And it's really important at the time, from the direction from the city, to make sure every comment,
concern is recorded to make sure that we address those questions, comments, and concerns. For the Kimbrough specifically, when the right-of-way was staked right before that meeting, and the temporary construction easement line was very close to their house, including the easement for their driveway was in the mulch bed. We went out there, so we received those comments. We went back and we modified and customized the design at every single property. So that 63-foot offset is what I just provided, but that's within the existing utility and drainage easement that's 47 feet away from the front of the house. And so that work takes place inside of an existing easement that is already there. The disturbance limits, where equipment will actually be working material and grading, is 73 feet on average away from the house, the front of the house.
I may have some more questions, but right now.
Yes, sir. Oh, I didn't answer the question. White House Utility District does have to relocate on this project. When we revised our footprint, we went back to White House and we did ask them to get closer to the road. They did send in a revised alignment of their utility relocation, and they pushed it towards the road. The thing that, and that's separate from the city's project, but are definitely tied together. They have to move to accommodate the project without a doubt. Their asbestos concrete water line is preventing them from getting any closer to the water line that's in the ground right now because it blows under vibration. So we do think that they have tried their best to minimize the impact, but their impact is closer to Kimbrough's property than any of the road improvements that we have.
I would also add with that, I believe the White House said their construction timeline was about 3 to 4 months. Is that right?
That's correct.
So that would be more temporary than the rest of the project.
Go ahead, Commissioner Teasley.
Just for the record too, that original one was about 7 feet off from their brick. I mean, like from their bedroom. I want everyone to understand, when we're talking numbers and thinking like all this ethereal, it's one thing, but when you're sleeping 7 feet from a stake from the city man, it's not a good thing. And so I don't know whose stake it was. I know it was White House, but it doesn't matter when it's your property and you got this home that, that she literally crawled out of the rubble from, was rescued by Shackle Island Fire Department out of that rubble, and then here she's got a stake right there just outside, and 7 feet is too close. And so I know it may change, but it makes a lot of folks very nervous when that wasn't shared in the first place.
Yes, sir. That stake, if you do look at the exhibit with their driveway, that stake specifically is something we did have a chance to talk about. It has to do with the driveway reconstruction and not necessarily the actual road. And so where their driveway would have to be replaced to tie in to the new roadway on Anderson Road there, it was 10 foot beyond into, and it landed in the mulch bed. It looked awful. I couldn't agree more. But that is something, we actually went through and we twisted Anderson Road to pick up that driveway and tie down in a much shorter distance. So that's something that we worked through with them directly.
What is the current length of the project stated from start to completion?
Estimated construction. Okay, so the city has, well, we've been talking about the grant funding, so the construction duration has been a big topic, especially just monitoring risk. Without any kind of hiccups, we're estimating this to be a 14-month construction duration. There's a couple of things that's kind of going against us. We have seasonal limitations on construction, and so that's for asphalt plants during the winter, they shut down, and then also this not a stream, we have seasonal limitations to where half the year we are unable to work. And then we have potential weather delays as well. So we're looking at 18
actual months.
14 base months, we're planning on 18. And what's really important, in addition to the grant funding, is because of those seasonal limitations with the creek being non-accessible, we're looking at, we need to start by March 2025, because if we get into a 6-month delay on the creek and you cannot work in the creek, this entire thing
which is the exact month that it needs to be completed.
That's
At
what
18-month period.
that's what the grant stipulations are.
That's the grant stipulations. So we need to start construction in March for those purposes.
What is the length of time for grant extension? How much will they extend up to a year after the date of the contract, if as long as the ball is rolling?
So far stated that there's a hard deadline. There will be no extension.
I've never heard that there's a hard deadline on a grant as long as the ball is rolling. I've never heard the funding be cut off on something like that. I would like to hear that in writing from the grantor if that is true, because I've never heard them cutting off a grant as long as it's going.
So the TDEC administered ARPA funds is something that a lot of municipalities are trying to navigate. There's a lot of unknowns. That is consistent. We actually reached out to the city of Memphis for support on this, and that's exactly what they understood as well. I hope that what you're saying is true, but that has been said a couple of times, that it's a hard stop, which is just, that's rough.
Go ahead. Have you done a traffic study?
No, sir, not an official traffic study. We're looking at the alternates here. I know that the traffic study's been requested. Whenever we started this project, I would consider the desktop review in regards to traffic and safety.
So simply do the timing of the grant. How long will the traffic study take? Let me ask you that way.
It hasn't come up as a necessity. It is a better response, because usually any kind of significant traffic studies or safety studies would be associated with trying to secure funding, because you have to prove to the federal authorities that there's a purpose and a need for the improvement. With the funding secured, there hasn't been a significant need for deeper dives into the engineering study for traffic or safety.
If I may, with that, when Durham Farms originally did their traffic impact study, I want to say it was around between 2002 and 2006, I was there for time, but it was an older study, and I know that in that study, they did project out that the full build out of Durham Farms would need to be evaluated for a traffic signal. And with that, a roundabout is considered an alternative by the MUTCD to a traditional traffic signal. So in a way, it has been studied, but we just don't have that newer formal.
One thing that we can do, there's plenty of research on the roundabouts, is check the maximum threshold volume of vehicles per day versus what's coming through here and what's projected for a 20-year return. And we're not getting close to we're at 45, 50% of the actual capacity of a single-lane roundabout. And so as far as traffic volumes, there's plenty of research that we can use and that we have looked at to ground truth the traffic. But as far as models, simulations, any of that stuff, it hasn't been a necessity to justify the project.
Question.
Go ahead.
So Cody, where are we getting the 9,000 vehicles per day?
PDOT count station.
At this actual intersection right here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, another one would be from Sarah from our last talk about this. How does this one, again, north of this, compare to the radius of this one?
This one is 20 feet larger.
This one will be larger than the one up by the farmhouse, correct?
I looked at it after the meeting.
You originally said 10, right?
I hadn't looked at that one at all, so I didn't know what the
From the one up here, not the one at Sam's.
Yes, the one
Ten
at
feet
Sam's.
larger than Sam's.
I think this one was 40 feet.
This is double the size of the one in town.
The one at Sam's was 105, 108.
I can't remember exactly now what the.
But you're saying that this one will be larger than the one at the farmhouse.
One of the issues with the traffic study, I think, the citizens that are being affected negatively wanted to see that, to understand that it was a true need, not that it was a worthwhile endeavor of something to have to get the grants. They wanted to see that it was going to fix the problems, and a lot of that argument has been that it
just to recap something for everybody, nobody on this commission caused this problem. Nobody on the current BOMA caused this problem. This was all done before us, and now we're tasked with trying to solve it, or Hendersonville's tasked with trying to solve it. Unfortunately, it involves a few citizens that are out of the city limits that our vote's going to weigh heavy on how it affects them. I've been told that the city of Hendersonville has never imposed eminent domain on anybody. It's looking like it's headed more that way. I don't like the fact that we got a more than 2-year-old project that is just now coming to the consideration of the people that's going to affect the most. Somebody said it once that may not be exactly proper, but failure to plan on your part is not an emergency on my part. I hate being taxed with skies falling, the grant is going to run out, we'll do this tonight. I hate it. That immediately makes me want to vote no, because we could have been talking about this 6 months ago. Could have been talking about it a year ago. Could have been trying to come up with different answers, different possibilities. First thing that comes to my mind is, why is Drake's Creek outlet coming straight at the rest of this? Why doesn't it dump out onto Avant Lane over here on the west side? Because when I was a kid and drove through these roads, those are 2 90-degree turns is what slowed me down. I don't see that as one of the options. I'd like to hear about it. Why it's not. Somebody put 11 billion homes in an area. It looks ridiculous if you look at it from a map. And now we're trying to figure out how to get them from point A to point B. And I don't know that this isn't the best solution tonight, but there may be better solutions out there. I'm frustrated because I do not want to eminent domain anybody. And that's not the vote we're making tonight. We're supposed to be voting on whether we make this let loose of a county road so they can keep going.
Just a point of order. Are they done with their presentation? We're back in discussion now.
I'm saying some things that I hope generate some questions and maybe some more input. I'll be glad to let go of that now, my questions. So, I mean, point of order again. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think there is anybody in this room that will disagree. Y'all have a problem. A major problem. It hasn't happened in the last year. It hasn't happened in the last 2 years. This is a culmination of not planning, just building. And you have to plan to build. Growth is great. Everybody loves growth. But you have to have sustainable growth. You have to have the infrastructure to back it up. And we have failed. I say we, us as a county, not just in this instance, but in others. And also the city of Hendersonville. And I think all of you will agree, we have failed some of the citizens. Everybody agrees something needs to be done. I think roundabout is the best way. Nothing against the homeowners. I've driven them in Bowling Green. They're awesome. They do help the flow of traffic. My main concern is, I don't think there's a citizen in this room that wants it in their front yard. And we're going to ask 2 citizens. And I don't know these 2 gentlemen from Adam. And I don't know anybody else in here. I think it's probably the first time I've ever met you. I wouldn't want it in my front yard. You wouldn't want it in yours. We have to come up with a solution. Have we considered the impact on their property value? This is going to impact their property value. Not just what the property itself is worth, that is going to be utilized, but their property value is going to go down. No doubt. It's going to be right there in the front yard. We need to realize that impact on these 2 citizens, because
20 questions. So, to my point that I made earlier, I should have phrased it in the form of a question. I don't see that as an option on these choices here. Could anybody consider exiting Drake's Creek, Durham Farms people onto this road to avoid all this? Either somewhere way up, put 2 or 3 exits all along the path. I mean, is that an option?
That wasn't considered an option, and the main reason for that is proximity to Drake's Creek, the actual creek, and the FEMA floodplain. So on the left edge of the exhibit is Drake's Creek. The floodplain covers every bit of that area, and so that's a permitting FEMA floodplain concern as far as significant. I mean, Drake's Creek's a significant road. What we're talking about.
But you're exiting on towards the floodplain, and the road itself is in the floodplain, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So what's the difference? Everything in Durham Farms used to be floodplain, at least that front half did. They built all of that up to get it out of the floodplain. Elevating a road that gets them over to an existing road definitely seems like it's worth considering. I just don't understand why. To me, floodplain doesn't.
It's a Corps of Engineers issue. Obviously, Drake's Creek would have to be high enough so that it doesn't flood, so we can have emergency access.
Well, but Drake's is what I'm talking about.
The line is currently completely in the floodway there, and so every bit of that would have to be raised. That's a Corps of Engineers water management issue and storage volume.
How are we getting by with it now?
We have an offset. We have a significant 1.5 acre lowering of Durham Farms common space there.
Additionally, a lawn was constructed so long ago, it's previous to some of the current regulations for floodplain management. The city only implemented our flood ordinance, I believe it was 2019. So we didn't have those standards requirements in place. But in order to tie in there, the elevation would have to increase.
So to make changes, they would make us come to standard.
That's right. Additionally, that particular area is open space for Durham Farms because much of that is archaeologically sensitive. They had to do shovel tests when they were constructing. A lot of that has arrows and bones and things like that. So it's not even an option to construct through much of that.
Just that little area right there, or the whole subdivision?
It's spread out throughout that area. That was the most concentrated area.
Seems like a bad place to build a subdivision.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So that's a lot of interesting things to think about. So right here is our road.
Yes, sir.
And really, that's really the main road and this one right here. This is a dead end. There's 23 homes on this road. This road right here goes past the rugby fields, and there's nothing down here except for all of Drake's Creek. So, I'm sorry, Durham Farms, forgive me. Durham Farms, all the homes down here, there's all these cut-throughs. But this right here, you follow me? So there's a few problems. This right here, it's being shifted so far over on county land. I know that people spoke in favor of it, and I love everybody's opinion on this. I do, and I don't want anybody to say. But the thing I want to understand is anyone willing to step up and say, well, I want it so badly that I'll give them a couple bedrooms in my front yard for their property to make up for it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because maybe they are. That's possible. But I don't think that these citizens should have to do that. You understand? So if it's going over, so is there a way, like Mr. Jones said, if we shifted it just more fair over like this, just a little bit, because I know that's archaeological, but this, we're not talking about the fact that this is all built up heavily. This is way higher than it was. It wasn't an archaeological problem until the roundabout came along. And now it's a problem. And so that's the point of contention, because we didn't get this information when we passed it through, and thank God we got to bring it back and talk and let the citizens speak, because that's just wrong. It's just, I get it that we might need a roundabout. I get roundabouts are wonderful in the right places, but not when you're taking people's land. And so if you come over here and put it over in this area, there's ways to do it where that nobody loses any land except for this area that's already low because of all the dirt that was excavated up to build this part up. You know, if you go out there and walk, you'll understand what I mean. You'll go see exactly what I mean. And there's this huge, runoff. It's just, yeah, huge rise. And it was all pulled up to build the road into Durham Farms. And so if we just move it over here, you don't even have to come and ask the county. It's really a problem that you don't even have to have, because the county doesn't have to do anything. Because these 4 citizens, the only 2 really being asked to have a ton of the property taken away. Like, the size of, it's larger than the home that I bought for our first starter home that's being taken away. So it's pretty significant. Like, I think I counted off, like, 1,700 and some odd square feet. You know, if you look at where the property is going to lie, and where you're going to have to move this light pole. You know, there's a lot of things going on, and it looks good on paper, but when you walk in someone's front yard, and you know that this is going to be raised up 18 inches, and poor Miss Ginger, I know her name's Virginia, but she goes by Ginger because I met her, and if you go out and you look at that front yard, it's going to be pointing headlights straight into her bedroom, where she stays. I mean, I wouldn't want that in my bedroom. And so I just think that it's not unreasonable. If we have to do it, the sky's falling, has to be spent. Move it on the property that doesn't matter, that's already had the thunder excavated out of it to build up this part. Just move it over there. Don't even worry about the citizens. Don't steal their property. Do the right thing, and then everyone in this entire room's happy. Everyone.
Can I pose that form of question? Is that well, so I do want to, if everybody just
what is the domain property?
Just look at the northwest corner where the sidewalk wraps around. You see a bunch of white boxes. No, sir. Just right there. There's a cluster of white boxes in the northwest corner. That's every underground utility for the Durham Farms neighborhood. So whenever we're starting on a project, staying away from those third-party utilities is probably not an understatement to say there's at least $2 million worth of utility infrastructure in that quadrant. And so and it's also sitting on private easement. And so that's what we would be looking at for the project if we shifted over to it.
What is the path of those utilities?
They go, so that they start right there, they come, so that's power, internet, AT&T, Comcast, all of your communications come down and go underground, and they run up to the northwest corner of Drake Street.
Under the road, through the middle?
They
down the side?
They go up the side towards the left.
So this is my problem. I get it. Those are all people making money from this property, doing well. These people are losing money if it's put here, and I understand that, with all due respect, it's not stealing property, in his words, I understand. And so I don't want to say the wrong thing. But whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, if it's eminent domain, if it's condemning property, because I'm going to read a statute in a second that's going to blow y'all's mind. But the thing is if it's condemning property, if you're taking it, however you're taking it, it's a major deal, because we're worried about Comcast. They were the worst business I've ever done business with. And we're worried about Comcast, but we're not worried about these people's property. And I'm not saying y'all. Y'all are doing your job, and you're doing a great job. And I don't want you to think I'm mad at you. I'm just really on the side of the 100% of the people who will be affected by property being moved and taken away.
Yes, sir. One thing I do want to clarify, it's not about making Comcast and AT&T move. What it is the city cost. So the city would actually have to pay Comcast and AT&T, CEMC's provide power. You have to pay for that, so that's an additional $2 million to the project immediately. That's why we would avoid it. And I'm not saying that it's better to go on private property. I'm just telling you from an engineering perspective, that's a textbook reason to stay away from that corner.
I get it. You could negotiate with them, because they're the ones who stand to make all the profit. But I mean, I won't go into that, but that's a different story. Go ahead.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I've just been told that budget is going to convene for the purposes of voting on a chairman and vice chair. I do not know if you want to take a break at this point, since we've been going at it over 2 hours. Let them conduct that, or just let them have it contemporaneous to this. I'm just notifying you.
They want to come in here?
No, they're doing it in chambers.
Okay, so take a break to allow that. Is anybody here sit on budget?
you want to do it for public record to allow that?
It's my opinion that, should be doing two meetings at the same time, so I would recommend a brief recess, let them conduct that portion.
Okay, do that
If
first.
anybody wants to attend, if nobody wants to
You want
attend,
to take 10 minutes, or you want to?
That's the only two items, Mr. Chairman, you know,
You want to take
and then they'll recess.
You take 10 minutes? Sure. Let's take 10 minutes.
Do we need to have a motion?
Sorry about that disruption. Good old politics. All right, we were kind of finishing with questions with the Hendersonville presentation. Did anybody else have any other questions they wanted to ask of them before we?
My final question, I believe.
Yeah.
And thank y'all so much. Y'all have been excellent and very, very appreciated. Why
Can we,
are
we done with it?
directly?
No.
Oh,
And we're back on the out, right?
Yes. Why was there not a cost estimate of just shifting that roundabout? Why has there not been one of those? And not having to take anybody's property? I understand what you said, but can you just tell us why on record?
Well, hold on 1 second. I'm trying to think here because the alternate of shifting the roundabout to the north. Okay, so we're circling the northwest here.
Between Avant and,
Right.
yeah, right, just barely shifted, 50 yards back.
So this is the first time that's been discussed, and the initial response that I'm trained for as a professional engineer is that would make the project non-feasible. That would be my initial response. We would have to look at it, but the increase in the box culvert, because we would have to bring, so what we would do with that is we'd have to bring Anderson Road up to that roundabout, and so the skewed crossing across that stream would significantly increase the structure, and the utility costs alone makes non-feasible just ring off in my head immediately. But this is the first time that we've been asked to look at that northwest quadrant.
And, just one more, can I say just one more thing?
Can I stay on your point, or you're saying?
It's about the same thing.
Keep going.
All I was gonna say is, if it were increased, I'm just curious if it's possible that the increase would maybe be, like, you wouldn't owe the property owners around it anything then. There would be no worry about eminent domain or no condemnation, and you'd still get the same property finished. Just a little shift. Just a slight little shift.
The increased cost for construction of that would be far superior to what we're looking at with right-of-way acquisition and the existing construction costs, especially when you consider the archaeological site factor as well as the floodplain factor that's going to FEMA, that remapping with them, they have to approve it. That impacts all of these property owners. If we raise the base flood elevation, that negatively impacts everyone involved in the stream. So there are a lot of factors there that make that, we would just consider that not to be a feasible alternative for this stream.
But it hasn't been considered.
No, sir, it has not been considered, no, it hasn't been considered for those reasons. So my question that piggybacked off of his would be, and this is why I don't know about the utilities. They're already going underground. They're already going alongside that road. They're already buried. Could you not put those utilities in the center of the roundabout and just basically build around them? I know you'd be putting things on top of them, but I don't know that that's an issue if they're already buried in the ground already. We've already proven that raising up the level of the road is doable. That's what they did for Durham Farms anyway. But that would answer a lot, and then you wouldn't have to bend Anderson Road towards it if you say it was option 2 and put a cul-de-sac at the end of Mr. Kimbrough's driveway, you wouldn't have to put the cul-de-sac out as far as you have it. You could literally put his driveway going into the cul-de-sac, and he's really the only person that goes into that cul-de-sac. Doesn't have to travel all the way to the end of his property before you turn people around. I would like to understand if it's feasible to put those utilities, just leave them where they're at and build around them. Do you know anything about that engineering wise?
Right here.
I'll tell you from an engineering perspective, the underground utilities, where they meet in those control centers, there's a ton of junctions that I don't understand. But that's where the cost of infrastructure significantly jumps. So again, we're trained to stay away from that.
Well, yeah, if you start messing with those connections, I'm saying don't touch them, build around them. Don't disturb them, build around them. Don't change them, build around them, and leave them in the center of the roundabout, which is good for nothing anyway. And put some nice bushes around those ugly boxes and, leave them there.
Everybody's happy.
Is that even possible from an engineering standpoint?
If we look at the circle, so if we look at this circle and we shift it to the northwest, if I can use your exhibit, what I am concerned about, if we take this circle and we shift it to the northwest.
Not that far.
Oh, well, right there. But see, countryside, we're still dealing with Mr. Allay. I do get where it would be here. Right.
Come show where the roundabout would be.
Yeah, please. That would be good.
Okay.
Right, this width would move same distance.
And then whenever the circle shifts to the northwest, where our box culvert is today, so we have 2 independent culverts. And so that if you imagine the growth of this moving to the northwest, that entire thing would become an encapsulated culvert. So whenever we have that, whether it's here or in alternate 2 on the exhibits, that's the environmental, the cost concern. So we do have utilities.
So to be clear, right now, you're using the existing box culverts that are already there in this roundabout?
No, sir. There are 2 new box culverts.
So you're going to move them anyway? You're going to put new ones in anyway?
We are. Yes, sir, that's correct. So we do have 2 new culverts here. As this intersection, if it shifts up, the angle of these roads, the box culvert becomes one single unit because you have a road over the top of all of it rather than an opening in the middle.
So one single instead of 2?
Yes, sir.
Explain why that's a bad thing, because
money and permits.
Cost and 2 short ones?
Yes, sir, and then extreme impacts as well. So the real concern on that, I know our opinion on the stream, but the real concern is to have the stream mitigate within this watershed. And then we start talking about more private property because we take a straight stream and we have to meander it. This is a complicated job. I promise you, whenever I tell you that this is extremely complicated in many different ways, but those would be my initial concerns. There was a lot of work that went into placing the center of this roundabout. Geometry, drainage, utilities, all of the fundamental things that we have to address on the front end to try to get it as right as we can.
I understand that. I wish a lot of this talk would have been done with the citizens affected, because it was stated at this meeting last month that they're very hard to get a hold of, not certain who the exact property owner is. There's questions about that and making the offer of what we would offer them for their land, and that just wasn't the case from what we saw. It was very easy to get a hold of these people and talk to them and sit out in the front yard and speak to Miss Olea and her son, Phil. They were very easy to get a hold of. Within a matter of a couple of days, we were out there. So I just feel like a lot of this explanation to them could have been done over a year ago, closer to the beginning of the inception of this program, or the concept of this program. And I think, Mr. Teacher, you had something to say about a statute that I wanted to hear about, because I don't know what you're talking about.
I can do that after they're finished.
Well, do we have any more questions for them then, Ms. Holmes?
Well,
Commissioner Holmes?
I was just gonna make just a comment. Years ago, because this is not new, it's not, I mean, you guys have been working on this for a long time. Was it ever considered that you, while you're planning this, we could have saved all of this if you got a cup of coffee, went and sat down at somebody's kitchen table and said, here's what we're working on, you know, this is not safe, we're having a thing. I would love your input. I would love to see how we could work together to make this project a reality instead of what it feels like projects cram down citizens' throats. And that's kind of, I feel like we've lost that a lot in a lot of these projects, is the connection with the people that it impacts. Not all, everybody wants to be safe, and everybody wants to get there fast and not slow. Nobody wants to sit and wait. No, nobody does that, and I don't think these guys do either. But that's kind of where I'm at, and I think we lose that. And it's not just you guys, it's everywhere, you know, and I think we would not be here if we were having these conversations years before. We would have already had this figured out. There wouldn't be a deadline that we're about to miss and all the things, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a question for comment, maybe.
One of the things that I did want to make sure that everyone was aware of, because we were asked to specifically coordinate with these property owners. In April of 2023, whenever we had the property owners meeting, that's where I was talking about writing down every comment, question, concern. After that meeting, we went back to the drawing board for about 3 weeks, and we met with the property owners one-on-one, individually, with a revised design. Every corner of this roundabout is special tailored to the property owner comments that were received to our extent. We didn't change the intersection type, we couldn't do away with the roundabout, we still feel like that is the best option here, but every single corner has special design built into it for the property owners to best accommodate their concerns as much as possible. The reduced footprint on Mr. Kimbrough's property, a redundant positive drainage system on Mr. O'Lay's to make sure that it drains in low volume storms, flood conditions. Mr. Craywick, a special ditch prepared for him so that he can better grow his grass. Like, each corner of this project was intimately designed for the property owner, which is pretty well beyond what normally is asked of us for municipal or state projects. So I don't want it to come across that the roundabout, changing the roundabout itself is a little bit easier said than done. Everything else that we could special design has been completed to the best of our abilities.
And if I may add to that as well, prior to my involvement in this project, the previous public works director and planning director had met with the property owners before design was even started on this, to just kind of discuss what the city was thinking about. And my understanding from those conversations was positive, that everyone was in favor of improving this area. And then before the April 2023 meeting, we had 2 additional property owner coordination meetings. One of those, we sent a letter to all those. One of them, only Mr. Kimbrough attended, and then the second one, everyone was involved. So we really did try to coordinate pretty extensively with the property owners on this project and getting their input and make it as good as we could for them.
Another question I've come up with is, I asked this last month, and it was about the assessment for the valuation of their property. I think you had said that it was still out, assessment's still out there about what the offer is going to be or whatever like that. I heard from the property owner that an offer was already made, and they were not happy with it. So could you explain a little bit about that offer versus the fact that you said one hadn't been made yet, or what the next step is? Is there something else out there that maybe you were talking about when I was talking about at the initial?
Yeah. So what happened was, originally this was not to be funded with federal dollars. And so we selected a local appraiser that we've used on other projects, and they completed an appraisal for the properties. And it was just a simple fee up with a square foot fee for what we would pay for the property use. And then, through that process of hearing concerns from property owners and the impacts, we revised the project. And then also we went back and had full appraisals completed for the Lake property, the Kimbrough property, and also the Craywood property, because the impacts to those properties were more than the others. And when those came back with the same appraiser, there was a change in valuation because the initial fee did not consider floodway, floodplain, and they weren't a full appraisal. So there were some reductions in some of those appraisals. The city agreed to offer the original, to honor the original appraisal amount, which was higher. And so then we did go through a negotiation process. 3 of the property owners had signed, 2 had not. And so there were concerns raised about the type of appraisal that we had provided. And so we went back, and now using federal dollars, we went back and sought an appraiser and an appraisal reviewer that are panel appraisers with TDOT. So they're pre-qualified for the Uniform Act appraisal. And so we had a 3rd appraisal completed for all the properties, and those were the ones that we had not received back yet, and the offers had not been made based on those appraisals. When we got them back later that week, they were all lower than the original appraisal, except for one property owner who's not represented here today. And so again, the city's intention has been to honor the original higher appraisal amount.
So that appraised amount that I heard from the property owners, the original one, is the standing one right now. I wish you would have answered that way last month, because that would at least give me an idea of where we are when I talk to the citizens to know how big the stalemate this really is. That would have been important, but now we know. So the standing appraised value, which you guys, some of us have heard is what you're looking at. Commissioner Teacher, were you going to read that? Did you have one more question?
Yes,
and I would have dismissed them. Is everybody done with the
we
question?
can, I think it,
Or do you want to phrase it on the question?
I think it could be, but, and we could still ask if it does pertain, if y'all think it pertains, but I'm okay, to pull it back into order.
Okay, a motion to bring us back, or I was going to bring us back in order, we're not having a motion. Thank you.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
so I found TCA 62201, talking about powers. Okay, there's quite a bit to read here. I won't go through all that. I'm just going to go through a couple things. Basically, you can look that up if you want to. But this is the part that really should make everyone worried and upset, everyone for and against it. Because, like I said, I think there's other options, but you know, as we found out, there was not. I'm sorry, I'm addressing you. There was not. That was not considered. You know, regardless of how we look at it, it was not considered if we shipped it 30 feet or 50 feet or 50 yards. But, and I'm not an engineer, so I'm not going to claim that I would know if that would be right. But the TCA 62201 says every municipality incorporated under this charter. Okay, this actually would consider, this would be also Hendersonville. May, and I'm going to go skip down to number 9 on here, okay? May condemn property, real or personal, or any easement, interest, or estate, or use therein, either within or without the municipality, for present or future public use. The condemnation shall be effected in accordance with the terms and provisions of Title 29, Chapter 16, or in any other manner provided by law. And that's the part that scares me to death, because if I'm reading that correct, and I'll ask our attorney to give his opinion, it seems like that there's really no ends to government at that point. I mean, they can condemn anything they want to condemn for their purposes. Is that correct? Can I ask the Lord?
Yes, but they'd have to show the need and the public interest and welfare and all the other requirements, but it doesn't confine them to the municipality.
So that's a major problem. Go ahead.
So within or without the municipality means inside or
on approval. So we were told last month that if this comes to an eminent domain point, it would definitely come back to the commission to have a say-so on it. Now we're being told that that's not the case.
Doesn't look like it.
So us giving them permission to take over responsibility of this road maintenance will give them everything they need to do this regardless of eminent domain. And I've also been told that the city of Hendersonville's never used eminent domain to take people's property.
Mr. Chairman. Go ahead, I'll suspend the rules.
Yeah, motion to suspend the rules. Second. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Come on, Mr. Ray.
My name's Ray, I'm the city attorney for Hendersonville, I reside at 104 on the place in Hendersonville. We absolutely, the city absolutely has to ask for county approval for eminent domain outside of the city limits. We still have to meet the thresholds that Mr. Stiller spoke to as far as it's got to be public use and fair price, but when now utilities in a road project are a little bit different, but there is a statute, and I'll have it in my head right now. I'm happy to provide it for you here in a second. That if the city, any municipality that wants to provide eminent or do eminent domain outside of its limits into the unincorporated county has to seek approval first from the county. And it's very specific. You have to provide notice to you, to the county clerk, and to the mayor, that the city has that intent. And then the county legislative body can take that up.
That's somewhere in the same TCA? Is it an opposing one that conflicts with this?
Well, that is the charter. So the charter is like a charter to a corporation. It tells the corporation what it can and can't do. But as far as state law is concerned,
It has to abide the state law. So state law always trumps it.
yeah, that's just speaking to the charter to say that because there's some entities, their charter says that their internal charter says that they cannot do certain things. That is saying that charters under Alderman, Board of Alderman, Mayor type of governments can do that unless their charter says otherwise.
I have a question first. Knowing that now, would you agree with Mr. Ray, or would you still agree with what the charter says?
I would have to research this further. I do not have a Hendersonville charter, so I have no answer to that. Not right now.
It's the TCA.
That's what I was reading, and as far as the notes to the decisions, seem to give a little bit more latitude to the municipalities than I had originally anticipated.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I said in the notes to the decisions gave a little bit more latitude to the municipalities than I had anticipated.
Is that the same statute that
I don't
requires
know.
the approval of the county? Because
It does not require approval of the county.
yeah, there is a statute that says.
Do you have that cited?
I can have it in 10 minutes if my phone cooperates.
Go ahead.
So my question is, while you're looking, you can look this up too to answer it, but I want to just know, so you can wait to answer it, but I want to know, are you saying that there is no way that the city can come, okay, tell me the option of how the city can come in and take their property or condemn their property. Tell me what that option looks like. Explain the process of how that would happen.
Because they're outside of the city limits?
Yes.
The way I understand the statute, and this is new to me, the way I understand the statute, but that we have to provide notice to the counties, to the county clerk, it says specifically, not only it says to the mayor, that is the intent of the municipality to exercise eminent domain over specifically those properties. And then that will be up for a vote of approval to the county commission at the next legislature.
And if it's not approved, there's no way, you're saying there's no possible way for the city to take those two pieces of property?
I didn't say that. What the statute also provides is that if there is no action taken by
Well, I can't remember the name of it. I don't have the number in front of me because I didn't take a picture on my phone. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it gets us to the same point.
It gets to the same point. They can override it.
Well, I was just addressing, I wasn't trying to waste anybody's time. I was addressing the statement that your vote tonight which is whether or not the city would be able to use the road and maintain it as part of the project, is a vote saying that the county approves of eminent domain.
That's not the statement I made. The statement I made was, if we approve them to take over this, there's nothing further we can do to stop it because of that statement with TCA. And it appears to be that it's not up to us anymore. So there is nothing we can do to stop it. There's something a Chancery Court could do to stop it, but there is nothing further we can do. So it does take it out of our hands totally. This road being a county road is the only thing we have right now.
Wait, he's got that.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Question.
Harrison.
And this may not be for Mr. Ray. There's always the possibility, though, if this property is located inside the urban growth boundary, that the city could annex it. And then it's out of our hands.
Only with their permission.
I understand. But we've got a preponderance of folks here that.
No. Well, there's only two that would need to be vote for it to be annexed.
And also keep in mind, too, that it always will boil down to a political decision.
It's not like it used to be where they took a poll to see if the neighborhood wanted to be annexed. It's per individual now. If they don't want to be annexed, they're not going to be annexed. It's my understanding. Is that correct?
Yeah. It is on the citizens.
Well, we don't.
Go ahead.
So I got a few statements that, and I appreciate everybody that came to vote. And I value. Oh yeah, we're not back to this.
Did you find it? Okay. Did you get my attention as it comes? Go ahead. I'm gonna bring us back to this. Go ahead.
So I always want to err on the side of the majority. You would think that would say, well, why wouldn't you do that? Well, the reason you don't do that, this is the very reason that we have a republic and not a democracy. Because if it were a democracy, and I'm not saying that in a funny way. I say it because I care so much about why the Constitution was written and the ideals behind it. And what it comes down to is that if this were a democracy, and I wanted, and five of us wanted two people's possessions, five of us could take it even if we're good-hearted and wanted it in the right reasons. It wasn't anything, I'm not saying negative things about any citizen that wants this to happen. It's a good thing, it seems like. But sometimes good things are lost in the details, because if I want it and I say, well, there's enough of us to vote to take it, but that's when you come down to principles. And our Constitution, the reason this country exists, it was based on the Bible and the writings of John Locke, the majority of it. And John Locke influenced it so much that I'm going to read just a little section. And I think it's valuable to understand, because I get it, and I actually agree with every single person that wants. I get wanting something, and I see the reason, the true good. But when it comes down to it, it's really about two citizens in the county and one in the city. That, they're also in the county, obviously, but they're county citizens. The true foundation of government rests in the consent of the people to the transfer of certain just powers to government in order to protect their rights, rather than in a total alienation of their rights to government. So they don't want to give everything over, but government is made necessary only by three deficiencies of the state of nature: the lack of a known and settled law, the lack of a known and impartial judge to settle disputes, and the lack of a power to back and support the decisions of law. To remedy these inconveniences of the state of nature, individuals delegate to govern their right to execute the nature of law. So, to quote John Locke, being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. So, it brings us back to the fact that I feel confident that this whole room is filled with people who want something good here. Nobody's wanting to do anything wrong to anybody. I don't believe there's one soul in here. I would fight for that fact. Everybody was passionate about it because it would solve a problem, it seems like. But the big issue is the solving of the problem is the taking and making of another problem. And so, federal money, we're talking about, it's going to be lost if we don't use it. It's going to be lost if we don't use it. But it should never be used in disregard to the folks who own the property that we're taking. And so this is an example of why that we are tasked with voting on principle, what is right. And it comes, I'll sum it up with this. It comes down to there are certain things in this world that we know to be true. And there are natural laws. And life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. If a little kid takes a toy from another kid and that little kid takes it back, no one is really upset at that little kid as long as they didn't go crazy, but they take it back because it was rightfully theirs. So if we come down to it and say, well, a lot of people want it, but there's two people that have property that do not want it, and it's 100% of citizens. So if it is wrong for an individual to take what is not theirs, it is even more wrong for the government to take what is not theirs. It's our job to protect, not to take.
So, I'll be voting no on this, guys. But I want to hear your point per se. The one comment I want to make is, I've been told by at least one of these property owners that if this goes through, they don't want their property. They're done with it. They don't want to be there. I mean, that's how bad they don't want it. So, I'm just thinking out loud here. If the city were to buy them outright, as in their words, it would be an investment towards getting this project done. They can turn around and sell the house somebody later that does want to roundabout in their front yard. I mean, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. Go ahead.
But the problem is, though, that not everybody wants it. It's not the best fix. The problem. I could say it's akin.
But I'm saying, my point is about the, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was thinking, it's like asking an Alabama fan if the touchdown was good at a UT game. You know what I mean? It's going to be, it's whatever's in favor, and I get it. The roundabout is a good thing. I've seen them work. But it's not good to take somebody's property.
I'm not saying eminent domain. I'm saying buy the property for $800,000, whatever that piece of property and house is worth. The real value, their asking price, whatever their asking price is, not $30,000 measly dollars or less, and that's going to permanently affect the value of their home going forward, because that's a one-time buyout. Who knows, that changed what that piece of property is worth, where it was a rural setting, now it just turned into a roundabout. And it's like that subdivision is just overtaking that rural country setting. So I'm saying it's going to change them forever. They're going to get a one-time payout, for a forced payout, and that's what I don't like about it. But he had that statute he found. I wanted to give him time, unless you wanted to talk about something before that. That's okay. Go ahead, Mr. Wright.
I would just want to cite this.
Suspend the rules. Motion to suspend the rules. Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Go ahead.
I didn't have the cite for the statute. It's 654-122. About the requirement to obtain approval from the town first, and then the steps that would need to be taken and what the follow would be.
Is that pretty clear to you, Mr. Sittler? Do you change your opinion on that matter now?
I haven't read it, but just based on the fact that there's an out for them, which is the courts, means it could.
Transit court would make a decision.
It still could go against the county.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
I do.
Okay.
I misunderstood the question.
Go ahead. Oh, back in session, yes.
I make a motion that we, forward this with a negative approval, a negative recommendation.
It wouldn't be for it, it was dying.
I make a
Motion here until something else could be.
And I think that it's a wonderful thing, but I would like just to recommend that there's an option to maybe just consider that hasn't been considered, just to shift it, just to see where nobody gets hurt. And it still gets done.
I'll say. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No. Roll call. So we got 3 noes and 4. Who are the noes? Mr. Harrison, Mr. Ellis, Mr. Wright, and Mayor Isbell. So that's more time, right? It's not that I don't want it to happen. If I don't want it to happen like this, I want there to be full of time.
We're just approving it.
Yeah. I understand that. My hopes are that it goes back with some sharpening of pencils and some better thoughts to put forward this and to come back with a different solution possibly. But
It's gonna go to the commission anyway, right?
no, it's okay. Well, no, it goes to the negative. Okay. I thought it.
No, that wasn't the vote.
Okay.
The motion was to kill it, and it didn't pass, so
now we're gonna vote on the county.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Right?
Yeah, there's nothing on the floor now.
Can I make a motion then? I'll make a motion to send it on to commission for further evaluation and a vote.
And then the acceptance of them taking over the county road. Second. From our road superintendent. And we have second by Commissioner Harrison.
Before we vote, I'd like to say one thing.
Sure. Could you repeat that?
When,
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Commissioner Harrison.
before we vote, governing is hard, and I get it. I share your concerns about eminent domain. I voted on your resolution, it was 24-0. However, also in the preamble to the Constitution, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare. This, in my opinion, is as distasteful as I find it, to have to take any more property than is necessary. This is a worthwhile project. It will ultimately save lives. And our job, I think, if I understand it correctly, is the needs of the vast majority outweigh the needs of the few. As bad as I hate to draw it down to that. That's what we rule by majority law. That's what we do. 13-11, 13 votes, you can sell this building. That's the way it is. And so that's why I seconded the motion. I'll be voting for it.
Go ahead.
I'll make an amendment to the motion. I know, I don't even know if we're able to do this, but I make an amendment that the motion is that we only approve it if we're not taking any property and we shift it over. And the engineers find a way and come back with a resolution, or with a solution for us. I make an amendment to the motion that we shift it over to where we don't take any citizen's property. Just that few feet. Because if it's that important, I think we should do it.
I'll second that.
I just want to make sure we could before we vote
Speak
on
to
that.
that, too.
Yeah, sure.
These professionals have stood up here tonight and given an estimate in their professional opinion. They haven't sat down and run the numbers. The number that was thrown out was $2 million. Now I'm telling you, if they shifted, I'm not an engineer, you're not an engineer, and it costs $2 million, that is basically asking the city of Hendersonville and their citizens, you're forcing a tax increase. That's what what you're doing. There's no way around it. If they move it.
And one of the statements that was made earlier was shifting this and putting all this concrete on top of where those junctions are. That's assuming you'll never have to dig down and get to it. But that's coming. There will eventually come a time where we got to work on it. So you just need to keep that in mind when you're asking these folks, okay, go back to the drawing board. Yeah, I get it, but you're adding money on top of it. Unintended consequences.
I just want to restate that point so it's clear. My intention was to leave it exposed and open in the center of the roundabout so it could be worked on in the future, not to bury it in a vault of concrete. But I thought that was worth looking into at least, but I don't understand how disturbing the ground over it while you're building. I don't know how critical it is. I don't know how deep they are. It may have been something worth looking at. Go ahead.
I appreciate every consideration. I'm not an engineer, but I am a representative. And the two people in this room that I represent, or the three people I represent in this room, I represent everybody in the whole county, but the three people that are actually on the county side, you see where I'm going with that? And they don't get a say so in the city government. They get only a say so. We're the only representatives on this side. They're saying they don't like it. And so all I'm asking, we don't know the numbers. We don't know if it's $2 million. It could be $5 million. It could be $300 million. We don't know. And we don't know what it would be like if it removed just a little bit. If it's the same structure and just buried them, it may be a lot more. It actually might wind up saving money, but we don't know until we explore that. And if we're in private sector, we're going to explore other options, and we're going to try to find a way to make it not cost more money. And so public sector doesn't have any money. The only money that public sector has are these people's pocketbooks. That's the only money we've got to work with. So however we do it, I'm very passionate that we do it the right way. Because if I'm not passionate, then who's going to stand up for them? Because they're not even allowed to speak during our committee meeting unless that we suspend the rules. So I stand up for them. I know it's not popular because other people want it. I even want it. But I don't vote the way I want. I vote the way that they need. And it's just important.
Thank you. Mayor is the
Call question, please.
second.
We're calling the question on an amendment. Has it got a second?
Yes, Commissioner Holmes seconded the amendment, I believe.
I did, and the reason that I did was for the only reason that.
He's called the question.
Never
We gotta
mind.
go.
Okay.
All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Wait. We got to vote on call the question.
Oh, my bad, you're right. Vote on calling the question. All those in favor of calling the question, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, one no. Commissioner Teacher, we're going to call the question on the amendment. All those in favor of Commissioner Teacher's amendment to require them to have cost analysis done for the shift of the roundabout by the time it comes to commission, correct?
Or it could be a month, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
It's coming to the commission Monday, so it's going to have to be done. But
before it comes to the commission.
Is that correct?
I thought he said that it would have to involve not taking any property.
Right.
Shifting it over to not take any properties, to get in the clear zone of that. That's the amendment we're talking about here, right? The very end.
Don't take property, still do it.
Yeah. So basically shifting it to the northwest, circled around the utility, leaving those exposed. So that's the amendment. All those in favor of that amendment, say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. We still 4-4? Same 4. My question is that all the fails. So the amendment fails.
Back on the main motion.
Now we're back on the main, and I see the way this is going. The main's going to be sending it to the commission, right? I mean, actually letting the road go into city maintenance. I would encourage the city of Hendersonville to at least come with some kind of, rough order of magnitude quote for that, for the commission when it does come to the commission, because those questions are gonna be asked on the floor, and it would probably weigh in your favor to have some kind of answers, but if no answers are given with any kind of a cost, it's probably not gonna look good that you didn't try the one suggestion that we were trying to offer. That being said, we'll vote on the, for the city of Hendersonville to take over maintenance of Countryside Drive.
I'll wait. I was about to ask a question, but I'll let you.
If it's about this vote, go ahead and ask it, because this.
Well, I was just gonna say, recommend possibly approving whatever, so we can, then the full commission's gonna have to hear this next month.
Yeah, so that's what we're talking about.
So, yeah, we can do something to get this moving on.
That's what we just said.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yes, yes. Okay, so all those in favor of allowing them to take over Countryside Drive maintenance, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Same. You were no, right? So, Commissioner Kingston, all those. Okay. I'm gonna uncover my agenda now.
So it dies.
Let's go.
Anyway. But it died. No, it's not.
It was not, okay, I'm back, I got confused.
I want to see it again with my amendment. You can change your motion to yes. Change your vote to yes. All right, keep the same.
All right, you're gonna need to address whether you want this on old business, or what are we doing with it?
I'll leave it on old business to give them the opportunity to possibly talk to the homeowners and come back with something else and have this on the agenda again. I'll definitely do it, because I'm not against a solution to the problem. I think we're just a little off on that. And again, not something the sky's falling, votes never go well. Next order of business. Yes, sir.
May I make a suggestion that you all can pass and make a motion without any recommendation, but a motion to move it forward to next Monday night?
I don't know what the purpose of that be, except for bypassing the committee.
Well, it gets
Just get it on the floor, and if they're either gonna say yes or say no, is it?
That's really what my motion was about, is to get.
No, I understand, yeah.
Are we still on?
So it could be without a recommendation.
I'm all about exploring this, but I want to make sure we're in order and doing it the right way.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
I don't know if we can still discuss this, but all I'm gonna say.
No, there's no motion unless you.
Yeah, make a motion to forward it to the county commission with no recommendation.
All right, discussion.
I want to hear that.
I mean, truthfully, there's a strong likelihood it's gonna be brought up by someone other than myself from the commission floor. So,
I figured to do that anyway. That's
Yeah.
what I don't understand why.
I don't know why we're having this conversation. I'm gonna vote no.
It happens every month.
Well, we will get on the agenda.
Go ahead, man.
Joe, putting it back on old business, therefore you're considering it not disposed of, so you can't bring it up on the floor per your rules.
Well, we just did it last month, so do our rules stand or do they not stand?
You killed two lives, I wanted to put it on the agenda.
The ultimate
Because you said that the law saying the commission can't choose.
You can beat it up here, or beat
I'm
it
not
up
picking and
there.
choosing. I like the 2/3 rule that we put in place.
Well, that's debatable, but.
Do you think about giving some advice, or you,
No, I don't know that, I think this may end up having to stay on business because we can't bring back stuff up again to vote on that's already present. If it was different, that's the only thing we can get is a vote change.
a vote change on, what was the last motion, move it to commission, I think.
With no recommendations.
That was my motion, no recommendation. That's what we just had voted.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Since you've already
No, that's
exposed
what
to
we
this
hadn't
vote.
voted on it.
Hold on a second, guys, Mayor's got the floor.
Need a motion to reconsider, if we want to bring that back up and talk about it again.
Point of clarification, can you read back Toby's motion, please?
That was gonna be my question, because, I had Mr. Ellis's motion is to just send it to commission. There was not a recommendation specified.
That's right. No recommendation.
I thought his motion included to approve the roadway. Mine was to send it with no recommendations. So if that's the case, then my motion would be out of order.
Down for him, that was gonna be my question, if I had missed something in there.
I think, Superintendent Ellis was trying to satisfy Commissioner Becker's request just to get it to the floor without.
Well, I was
without
saying,
having the
that's what I was saying.
majority to get on the agenda.
I make a motion, we move on.
Terry, did you, Commissioner Wright, did you have a statement or a question?
I believe this needs
Sorry, James, here's the thing.
to go in front of 24 people, which is the full commission, and let everybody vote on it. Hopefully it'll give Hendersonville a little bit more time to, you need to speak.
Go ahead and finish your statement.
Give Hendersonville a little bit more time to hopefully work some things out with the two property owners. I don't want to see anybody move because of putting in a roundabout. That's just unreal. But I can understand because I wouldn't want it in my front yard. So I see both sides of the coin. But I truly believe it needs to go in front of the full commission, let 24 people vote on it, and go from there.
Just procedurally, if you wanted to, if everybody's in agreement, there's no vote required here, but if it doesn't go to old business, it's not in committee, it can be brought up from the floor, or the chairman of the commission can add it.
The issue is we've already put it on all business.
No.
Right?
No.
I mean, it's, you just arbitrarily said it was old business.
Oh, yeah, true. It's not a vote, right? I mean, I said it a while ago.
No, there's no vote or anything that.
I said I wanted it to go to old business, but you're saying, don't vote on old business.
Then it'd be disposed of this committee.
And that there's nothing to discharge.
Okay. I would like to motion to suspend the rules, can I get a second to let, Mr. Economic speak for a second? Yes, second. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Go ahead, Mr. Economic.
I think the concern, one item that I heard is if we could have a rough order of magnitude back. And so, we can have a rough order of magnitude back. And if we want to go in front of the full commission, we can have that. If it's not to your liking, we can come back to the highway commission with a rough order of magnitude. But that's something, it's time sensitive for us, so that's something we can prepare and just come back. So the motion means we have to work, through the night to do a rough order of magnitude to have for the full commission. And if not, we just come back to the highway commission.
Can I ask one quick question on that?
Yeah,
Just a clarification. I'm
Almost
sorry, so you're saying that you could have a rough order of magnitude of what it would be to not take any property owner's property, and just give that dollar amount around.
Yeah, it would be rough. I mean, we wouldn't have precision. We can have rough, but we can look at those costs, and that can be a point of consideration, which you don't have an exhibit before you today to do that.
Absolutely.
And so, kind of speaking out of behalf of Christian Smith, and I want to put him, I think this is going to be tough for him, but, and if we're not prepared, then we just come back to the highway commission at the next meeting, but at least give us the option to give you the material for the full commission.
Okay. That satisfies me, and let's just not, I'm gonna get us back in order, but, call back in session. So, that satisfies me, and, go ahead.
I was gonna say, then I make a motion, we reconsider it, and my motion is that we reconsider that and bring forth the amended option that we're just.
We can't do that. You don't have a pervasive side to bring up the reconsideration.
So my suggestion is.
We both lost.
So this is my suggestion. I'm gonna say, leave it off of old business. If it be the will of the body to bring it up at commission, it comes up at commission. That keeps it from having two-thirds.
So we're removing it from old business.
That's right. And that's that.
Agreed.
I know, the last thing I was gonna say is, thank you. That's a big deal, and I know that they're gonna have to crunch some odd numbers, and that's a big deal. Appreciate that.
Next, Liberty Creek Elementary flashing lights and traffic flow. So this is an item we left on there because of, last time we talked about it, I asked a question to Superintendent Ellis, about where we were with those lights that have been 3 years now in the making. I drove the road last week and they weren't, still.
There,
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Take it forward.
the Board of Education Maintenance Department got the flashing lights up today.
They're functioning?
They're functioning. They're up.
Everywhere or just one place?
They got them at each end of that way. And they sent me pictures showing that they were working. Because I was on them about it after our meeting. I said, we've got to get these up, guys. Because, I mean, they, 2 meetings ago, they were ordered. And then the last meeting we had, they had them. And it was just getting the program.
Is that the end of it, or is there gonna be one in the middle of Wolf Highway, a really long road?
No,
Is that the end of it?
that's the end of it. They're gonna put them, and they're gonna run them for the time frame for the schools. And then, but it's.
In your opinion, is it up to par with every other school system we have in this county?
Well, I don't know, outside of.
You're the one that's gonna be getting the phone calls.
I get them.
Speeders and wrecks.
Yeah.
Children die,
The thing of it is that, you don't have too many school systems where, I don't know the count, I know we got 51, 52 schools, but usually you don't have,
3 in a row.
3 in a row like that, and it was something that, I'm still working on. We're still working on some things with the contractors. The road hadn't even been approved for the county yet, so I'm still trying to get some things done, and some of the people here tonight has made some very good points about the Turner Lane and Hunter Lane. And I would like to say, this is something that everybody here kind of come in. I mean, it was already going on when I got here, so it's something that it's going to be a work in progress. I know one thing that me and Jamie worked on last year that really helped was getting with Sonny and getting some people out there to flag the traffic for several weeks to get a pattern. Because what's going to happen is the aggravation and the results of what's going on is every year you're getting some new people in the mix, and they're coming into a situation that's really unknown to them, and having that presence out there, in a timely manner, working every day, everybody kind of gets, it's just like the roundabouts, they're kind of hard at first, and then everybody kind of gets the rhythm of it, and that's something that can help. Yes, there's some signage that we can do, but
I don't want to point of order here. I just want to get back to the question I asked, but I wanted you to continue on in a minute. As far as the signage and the flashing goes, are we good on that?
I think we're good on that, yes.
Okay, so that's an item that we can say is good, but the traffic flow issue and all the other stuff, that's a continuing conversation that we do need to keep on the agenda. I just want to make sure we got the concern. There was 2 separate things going on, so we're good on that.
Yeah.
Is it, with all the points that were brought up here tonight with regards to the flashing, what I'm concerned about is somebody stated there's only 275 students at the elementary school so far. Is that a correct statement, or close to that? Regardless, it's not full, right? It's like half full, or this is gonna get a lot worse. Like, a lot worse.
And I think
all 3 schools are gonna get more students.
You know, and what we run into with the schools that are in the cities versus the counties, and I didn't know this until I come into office, was, you know, a lot of the cities take care of the traffic flow with the guards or the city police. Right.
Crossing guards.
And they have that, and crossing guards, and that works really well. And in the county, we don't. And so that's something that I think this is a moving target that we're going to have to keep on working on over the next few years to try to take steps in the right direction to make it better. And as it grows, we're going to have to keep thinking about ways to improve.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
So, I just think, so you said it was it was the maintenance department of the school that put those in?
Yes.
Okay, so just for the record, because we searched hard, we've been working on this. I know I've had conversations on this since at least the first part of August. I was not elected yet.
2 years.
It was in August of 2022. And we were told, I kid you not, I personally contacted the sheriff's department, the highway department, and I know Toby's been a part of a lot of these conversations. The mayor, he's been a part of this, county commission, including the education committee, our highway commission here, health and emergency services, and legislature, even budget, and school board, and central office, and our director of schools, even Del Phillips. All the way back, there's been 2 directors of schools, and there's never been an answer on who covered that fully. There was always a push off, you know what I mean? I don't mean from you. I think the one that worked the hardest was Toby. But it was exactly that. And I think that it shows that they put it in, so it is, just for future reference, it is the schools who would make that decision.
It always was. It was part of the construction.
Yes, absolutely.
We
But we were always told it wasn't. That's number 1. But then number 2, I'm glad that's in. That's a big deal, because I worry about that. My kids go to those schools. Number 2, Toby was correct about using a deputy out there. But I found out, and I was mortified, that Liberty Creek Elementary's SRO was out of the building away during drop-off out there in the road and pickup. And that scared me to death, because you think of all the school shootings that happen everywhere. It worried me. It's not the case anymore, thankfully. But I do believe that we should have something to fix that issue. We didn't talk about it while it was going on, but I'm really glad it was straightened up. And so we got some issues right there. And I think that the main question that comes up and is what can be done about that high rise that comes up when you come straight up over that hill and you're right on the cars. And number 2, what can be done about traffic turning in, you know, how can you go around it? And then number 3, how can we keep from citizens having to go around? There's a little bit of an inconvenience that's going to happen. And that's tough. And I went out there and saw it. It was flowing pretty well the day I saw it, of course. But, and then I went out another day and it was pretty backed up. So it's like, I think that we need to make the decision of, you know, how can we help them? And so I just, can I ask our highway superintendent question? I'll make a motion we discuss.
Well, I think we're in discussion. I thought we were just under the report of the superintendent.
So is
that is true. That is true. Yes, we are under the report of the superintendent.
Yeah.
So to get back in order, I think we need to let him finish his statements, and then we'll go back into questions.
Thank you. Sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Ellis.
I apologize.
Well, I feel like with the discussion that we've had here, we're not going to answer all the questions here tonight. What the marching orders I kind of had was just making sure that we got the flashing lights up at this point.
Yes.
I think the citizens that are here made good points about some things, and like I said, this is something I'm not running from. I'm going to keep working on it. And, you know, I'm spending a lot of time on a road that's not mine yet. Y'all right?
Yeah.
Okay. But the bottom line is I want the safety of it to be as good as possible. So that's something that, we will continue, and I've got the names, and I will get the sheets of the people who have signed in, and I will make sure that I get in touch with them, and we work on it. If I can't give them answers, they're gonna get feedback. So that's something I think that's very important, because several of them made some very good points, so. And but what we can't do, you know, there's only so much we can, but I think there's some things that we can do right off the bat, and I need to probably get back with the Board of Education and the Sheriff's Department and ask some questions there.
Tony, was there a punch list created?
A punch list? What they did was, you know, we went through the inspection process with the engineering department. They had to replace sidewalks, curb and gutters, different things like that.
Did it come with a stripe and marking detail with that?
It did. And they had the plans and all that. It's per plan. And it was approved.
Approved by who?
Well,
Previous votes.
I'm sure it went through, the whole ramification of the planning process with engineering and planning and then the project. So.
But did you guys have to generate a punch list, or was it whenever created for one?
Well, when I did the inspections and did the proof rows and things of that nature, I told them what to fix and what to correct. They had to go in. I mean, that's something that, they had to do a lot of undercut. They had to mill out several spots and put back, stone and binder, and then, like I said, fixing the curb and gutter, and, the sidewalks, they were messed up.
I guess I was probably asking more, was all their signage and all that installed?
Yes, it's per plan right now, and that's something that, like I said, I'm the one that put the sign going back the other direction over the hill, blind drive ahead with the LED solar panels on it, just to kind of give people that warning. And that's some things that we can do. I can do it coming back the other way. I like that idea. But I will tell you in the morning, I know me and Jamie's been out there 3 or 4 times and watched it. There's a window of time on the elementary school side that when it goes past about a certain time, it becomes a ghost town. It goes from being very crowded to very empty. And is it aggravating? Yes.
Yeah.
And it's always very aggravating at the beginning of the school year. And
I agree with you.
It's something that I think there's some things we can do to help that a little bit.
Just about all of our schools, you have a 20 to 30 minute window of students arriving and that dismissal, that it is chaotic.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time, it's not.
Right.
And those periods of time in the mornings and the afternoons is the times when kids get hurt. Parents get aggravated. And they're those are the ones that need to be addressed, those 2 periods of time.
Mr. Ellis, you heard an earful tonight from citizens' concerns. I would like to see, I don't know if this needs to be in the form of a motion or a vote or anything, or just a request from you, but I would like to see next month, leaving this on the agenda, the part of the traffic flow, and you just come in with some suggestions based on what you heard the citizens complain about and what possible fixes are, because eventually this body right here is going to have to vote to approve that road or not. And I'm not going to approve it if I've got a room full of people out here talking about how bad things are. We all know that this problem is going to get at least 1/3, if not, or 1/3 worse, or twice as bad as it is now, depending on how empty or full those schools are. And I'm not sure which ones are, 2/3 full or half full or whatever. But we know we got some issues, and maybe as you approach that hill from the backside as you're coming up on the school, maybe put a flashing light, not saying hidden drive or hidden school, but like when it's flashing, pattern school or there's traffic ahead or something like that, because if it's flashing all the time, people go numb to that and they're like, yeah, it always flashes. But if it's flashing when there's traffic over that hill, you better be slowing down or you're going to rear end somebody coming over that hill. Maybe that's something we look at and see what the cost of that would be. But it seems like, to your point, not a lot of consideration was put in the fact that this is a county school, not a city school. I know all schools are county schools, but it's in the county and not in the city. And we need to add some things that were overlooked probably because they were done the way city schools are. And do we even have a crossing guard out there now? Or is it all dependent on flashing lights? All other schools have, if they have crossing guards, we need to have a crossing guard. That needs to be put into the budget or whatever. But if you could evaluate that and come with some recommendations for us to talk about or vote on, I would like that.
I think we can make it better, but I don't know that we can make it take care of everybody's concern.
No, not everything, but
it's something,
adequate.
And it's something, the crossing guard, the sheriff, none of that falls under the highway department.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
I know, I get it. It's not your responsibility, but you being the person that's gonna have to take on the county maintenance of the road, if you had it your way on how you wanna maintain it, think of this, people going off the shoulder of the road, past when they get around, and wearing out the road. It's gonna be your road. How would you rather have that? Or an extra wide road there to where they're not doing that, or a turn lane put in, whatever. I just want you to look at it with road superintendent's set of eyes and say what they should have done, or what would be, now that we see what real world looks like, in hindsight, we probably should have done this or this or this. Treat it just like you would a developer that put in a subdivision and you're not gonna buy off on until it's right. So, I hope that's not too much to ask, but if it is, push back on us and tell us who needs to be the person that we get to make this list, and we'll go that direction. But inevitably, it's gonna be you that's gonna have the headache or the awesome road to deal with. So that's why I'm asking. And I don't know if that's a form of promotion or if that's just a request we make.
I think it just goes, I'm not gonna leave it, but I don't mind being point of reference, but it's not just me involved here, it's the school, it's several people, and I don't mind making the calls for that.
Well, I know they're gonna try to get out 3 years trying to get flashing lights, okay? From your perspective.
Yeah.
What we want, you have the power to dictate as the future maintainer of this road.
Right.
So, take what they say into consideration, but don't let people off the hook that if it's gonna be your baby, take on, and we're gonna be responsible to pay for it. I don't know who was next, to be honest.
I don't know for sure. Go ahead,
Mr. Wright. He spoke a lot.
I'm gonna make something very clear. The flashing lights are the responsibility of the school.
Always work, right?
Always work. Because we have schools on city streets, we have schools on state highways, and we have schools on county roads. So we cannot put it on one person or one entity. It is the responsibility of the schools as far as the lights. Now, whenever we approve that road, it's our baby. And I have faith in our superintendent that it's going to be right before we approve that road. And I think we've made some strides in getting there in the last couple of years, have we not? So I put my faith in Toby.
Go ahead, Mr. Teacher.
So, I think Toby has done a fantastic job. He's been the most attentive and most alert I can imagine. All complete respect needed. And earned. My question is, though, regardless of that, we're the Highway Commission, so how comfortable do these citizens feel? They've been asking since August of 2022 that we're going to do anything. We're not going to do anything. I mean, we could just say, I make a motion, we don't do anything. And that would be more transparent than what we've done. And I think that what it comes down to is I agree, but Hunter's Lane is the county road. It's not, Hunter's Lane is not the schools. And Wolfpack Way is the school still. But then also, Latimer Lane is county road, and Upper Station Camp Creek is county road. So that's all a bunch of county road. So I make a motion. I love the recommendation you said, but I make I don't know if it was, yours wasn't a motion, was it?
There was a question whether or not we needed to make a motion to ask him to do this, and I didn't know if it was just something we could suggest or make a motion to do. But if you want to make a formal motion in that area,
I'll just make a motion because the thing, there's some that we can't control. Some of that traffic, and Toby and I stood out there arm in arm and seen it.
To be clear, my motion wasn't for the highway to take care of all of it. My motion was going to be to have him recommend, and then we push back on the schools for what he says they need to do, or we do our part on Hunter's.
I agree. I make a motion that Toby looks, that he looks at the spot that's the high rise that comes up over the hill, where the traffic is up on there, and gives it a true look at it, and speaks to the citizens who are for it, because they've been constantly for that. That's not been something new. And it's been a worry all along. And I just think to just look to see if there should be a sign that goes there on that. It's on Hunter's Lane, correct? It's like right there, when it comes up over, just have a sign that says traffic ahead or a flashing light, something. But
traffic ahead, and it works when there's traffic.
Yes.
It doesn't do anything.
Absolutely. Just something, because that part right there worries me every time. And every time they bring it up, I cringe because we haven't done anything yet.
Nobody's rearing anybody yet.
I make a motion that we request that our highway department goes out and looks at that and sees if that can be done. And if that needs to be done, do it. Like I just, whatever that is.
Is that okay if we do that in the form of a motion? I didn't know that it needed to be or not, but.
But in addition to your recommendations that he comes back with, I just think that one should get action.
No, that is the motion though. I want to include it in there, that it comes back to us for what his findings are, so we can make some focus on.
I'd just like to get that.
I don't mean to, we're overkill of this. This is all about traffic flow, right?
Yes.
And just let it go to old business and wait to hear from Toby.
That's where I was going. You don't need a motion. I think he's okay.
But it's been an old business since August of 2022. How upset would you be if you were the citizen sitting out there?
Then if we do a motion, we're at the same junction. Either it's reported back or it's not.
Let me point of order here. Okay, so that's what I was suggesting, was it's going to be on our agenda, and it's going to be discussed not in a gray area way. It's going to be discussed in a what did you find, what do we want to do. It's going to be very pointed. It's not just going to be a general discussion. It's going to be on his findings, and then it'll be a voted on thing on where we go from there. That's why I was asking if it needed to be done as a motion or just as a request from him for the next meeting.
It doesn't matter either way, whatever you choose.
Okay, I'm fine with leaving it as just a request from you. Are you okay with that, Mr. Ellis? Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
I don't have a second, so it dies.
Okay. Just trying to
But it's all our business.
I'm not trying to be rude.
Yeah, it's
simplifying the process.
And we took flashing lights out because that has been resolved, correct?
According to Mr. Ellis, we're happy with that, and everybody's happy with that. Because we hear citizens' complaints, we're gonna leave it off the agenda.
All right.
Report of the county mayor.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. The last thing on the agenda I see, I don't understand commission business. What is the things that were sent to us from commissioners, is this in there for just in case? Do you know what that was about?
I think I do know what it's about, and I think that and it's okay that it's on there. I believe that the City of Hendersonville Roadway Project should have come back to commission business. I believe, and that should have been where it landed, I think, but it doesn't matter.
Well, okay, so does that need to be taken off for future? Nothing to follow on that?
I do not create this comes directly
Unless
from
something is
highway.
referred back to this committee from the commission, there would be no need for that.
Okay, all right, this is kind of a filler spot for just in case.
Yes.
All right. Okay, meeting time changes. In order to make this simple, I would ask that people just email me your time preferences for a meeting. I don't want to belabor this discussion because this could go on and on and on, but this is not a good time to do this for this very reason, right before all the other committee meetings. but also it's just such a hard time crunch to get here at 4:30, for me. But if everybody could just send a suggestion for their time, and if we can't get a consensus through email, maybe we talk about that next month. Is that okay? I can make it work for one more month.
Can I just ask one question on that? Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, are we talking about just the time or the day as well?
Day and time. Day and time. Give a suggestion for another day or time. Not Wednesdays, because it's church night, people don't like that.
And I'm actually gonna speak against myself on this, but, I was part of the, moving on that for work schedules, but I don't think it works very well here, and Toby told me all along it wouldn't. But the thing I was gonna say is, it was originally, just so y'all know how it fell, it was originally the same night as the other committees that were pass-throughs that would come to legislative budget.
Right.
And, you know, it really probably should be back on that same night, like, education, health and emergency services,
General ops.
And highway.
So that makes it start at 8 o'clock.
Whatever that means.
Which is better than this, but.
Yeah, whatever that means. I think it's still better.
Let me say this, I mean, for 30 years we've been at 4:30, I don't know what night, but I mean, it had always been at 4:30, and that was because the road superintendent and whoever was helping them could come over during working hours and get the meeting going, knock it out before the other meetings. This is generally a very short meeting. This is a once in a blue moon meeting.
Right.
This has never happened. And so I'm just going to say, I'm sitting at my desk usually at 5:30 every morning. My days are long here. So when I get, I'm not usually off until 6:30. I get off and I have to go look at projects and catch up and then go. So I don't want to come up here and wait till 9 o'clock to have a meeting when I've already been up for several hours. And so, you know, Jim, if you need it to be 5 o'clock, I'm cool with that. And I'm not really worried about which day it is, but I want it to be in the time frame where I can come in, and usually it's going to be a 30 to 45 minute meeting, and then we can go on about our business. So,
well, like I said, let's do that through email suggestions, and if it's 4:30 or 5 o'clock, I'll try to make it work. I prefer 5, but maybe pick a different day of the week, because I do not like stacking up all the other committees behind this. If something like this would ever happen again, but yeah, 5 o'clock on one of the other nights may be better.
And I did have one question for the attorney. Would it be possible to suggest, I don't know if we can suggest it, on the same night as the commission? Is that not possible? It's probably.
That's a bad idea.
Nothing's gonna go to commission.
Yeah, okay. That's why I asked. Sorry. I'm done.
And I have one more thing before we adjourn, if we're ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
I apologize for dragging this out, but this kept sitting wrong with me because I just told you all that a tie vote was a no vote, and then I said there was no way to recall this. You can leave it the way it is and let that Hendersonville topic get added on the agenda, or whoever voted no to it.
I knew that, presiding vote. That's
Can
actually
motion to reconsider. Can do the motion to reconsider if y'all want to do a formal push to the commission.
I don't think it matters one way or the other. It's going to go to the commission.
I just wanted to show you,
somebody mentioned it
wrong there.
No, somebody mentioned that. That's why I didn't even talk about it. I don't think you heard of it. Somebody said somebody from the Valentine, Mr. Mayor, I said it. But no, I think that was clear.
okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?